So, seen any good moves lately? Welcome back to episode number 4 of the Survivor 50 coverage of Seen Good Moves Lately. I am your host, Joey Olberding, and today I am joined by the one, the only. I might as well say that he's the expert of all things Zac Brown, from everything I know about him. It's Noah. Noah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Happy to be on as always. Happy to talk about some Survivor. I know I got thoughts. I know you got thoughts. It's good to share them.
And I mean, this is Survivor 50. We're in the hands of the fans. We're two fans, and my God, we're gonna talk about all the things that are going on Survivor 50. But before we even talk about what's going on, what do you think of the season so far? How are you feeling?
The season's been a breath of fresh air. I think, speaking for myself, after what I would consider two more bottom half to bottom third seasons in 48 to 49, it's been really refreshing just to get uh, dynamic gameplay, but also like the cast is bringing it. And that's not to say that the 48 to 49 cast weren't bringing it in their regards. There's just something refreshing about the old school game players being on and the dynamic they bring to kind of how a lot of the newer cast feel more samesies. Like I know a lot of like the pre-mergers. If you ask me what season they were on, I would probably struggle.
Yeah,
Like I could
yeah.
give you within a couple seasons, I'm sure, but like yeah, like couldn't tell you if you're on 48, 47. So it's nice. Like I know exactly everybody is. It's been good that the 90-minute episodes have really. It's been nice that they've been focusing a lot on the camp life because I don't think we need a lot of introductions for most of them.
Yeah, no, it's a good point of about what you say about the longer episodes, because I feel like that is really something that's let Survivor 50 kind of breathe a lot. Like it was, we're gonna get into the Zac Brownness of it all, as I'm sure we would have whether or not there was an actual Survivor episode attached to the Zac Brown concert. But regardless, I see, especially during 49, I saw a lot more hate about the length of the episodes than I expected. People being like, well, it's clear that 90 minutes is just too long for Survivor. No, no. That's such BS in my personal opinion. I would watch any season's 90-minute cut. I bet you could make Island of the Idols better with 90 minutes. I might not want to watch it, but I bet you could probably make it better. So,
I would say
you know,
the only reason why I would ever side with somebody who complains about 90 minutes is one single reason, and it's not relevant for right now, and that it makes rewatches so much more harder. And
yeah,
I'll give you that as a reason for why an hour and a half can be like annoying. Like
yeah.
I will give you that. But
That's
like
totally valid. Yeah,
outside of that, like I love the show. I'm not going to complain about more content. Like I still watch the sneak peeks before the episodes. Like I want to like, okay, I'm also in some like other like prop bet games and I need to watch them. But
yeah,
like, I'm gonna watch them, and I would much rather have more Survivor than no like less Survivor. So like,
sure.
outside of the rewatching argument, I don't think there's much merit to
Yeah,
the
and I do think
shorter
that is
episode.
valid, but I also think compared to some of the other reality TV shows out there, Cough Cough Big Brother and Cough Cough The Challenge, even rewatching a season like, I don't know, 46 or 47 or whatever, it's going to be way easier than rewatching Big Brother 26 or 27 or whatever else. So, I mean, I get it, but it's also Survivor.
Yeah.
It's great. We love Survivor. Yeah, no, I'm really digging the season so far. I think, it hasn't had a bad episode yet. Um, People have definitely called this a bad episode, but I think they're wrong and also
No,
dumb and
this is a
stupid.
this will be.
So,
I think this could potentially like. I saw this comment, so I'm not going to say it's mine.
sure.
I think I saw this on. It might have been Reddit, it might have been Twitter.
One of them.
But it actually really stuck with me as that like give it like a couple years from now, there'll be that one where it's like, what's an episode that most people don't like but you secretly like? And I really think this will be one of those episodes.
No, I thought that at the time because we will definitely get into it, but the Zach Brownness of it all, who is my personal favorite artist, who saved my life, who I listen to get through tough times. It's not true. Um, it gave me some Jack and Jill vibes. It gave me more than one Jack and Jill vibe, and If
Yeah.
you know something about me, it's I love Survivor South Pacific. So I'm all good with it, especially since Coach was on the reward. I loved having Genevieve try to be like, yeah, no. I mean, I love Zac Brown as an artist, but I mean, like what he did was crazy. Is same vibes. It was great.
It's
I loved
it's
it.
it's I'm not gonna dive into it, but it's very funny how um I don't know the best way to say this, but like Genevieve was playing around the like I have to be supportive here, but it's giving like she's not a fan of his politics is
For
the
sure.
vibe is what I got from it of like the playing nice part of it. We'll dive into that later, but
Yeah, we'll we'll
um,
we'll
yeah.
we'll get into all of that, but I mean, there was a season of television attached to the Zac Brown show, believe it or not. But before we can talk about this episode of television, we kind of have to talk about the last one, which of course featured the demise of the one, the only, the Q. Uh, I mean, Q's gone. It's sad. So going into this episode, I mean, you got the Batu tribe, and they are down. Did you think voting out Q was the right move?
Um, from which perspective I think is the better question because like
I
from
guess
some
from
of
a
these
tribe
players,
perspective, I don't know. It
I
sort
mean
of
from
depends
a,
on your position.
objectively from a try position, probably not. And I think this episode makes it very clear they very much need to queue in challenges. Um, from the broader strategic sense, I think it's meh. It's kind of tough because like I would say taking out one of the David versus Goliath threes or Emily might be better. Even Stephanie might be better, but like Q doesn't have a vote, so like that side already is like has a very uphill battle to
Yeah,
chase on that vote. So yeah, from a tribe like a challenge perspective, sure, but as you've seen and as we know, players don't really care about challenge strength anymore, which is really interesting because
that
they
is
should
interesting.
know. It's I don't know how to describe it, but like I would think like the players are gonna eventually come around to challenge strength as a thing, just in the sense of like for the last like 10 seasons, there was always a tribe that is the losing tribe and they constantly lose. And I think a common thread throughout a lot of them is that they always say they don't really care about the challenge strength and they just keep voting people off.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
think eventually people will learn.
I think you see that throughout the course of Survivor history. I mean, like, I just think about last season. I think about 49, and it's like, yeah, Jake didn't intentionally get bitten by a snake, but I don't think it's a coincidence that when he got doinked out of the game, they kept losing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that makes sense. And
Mhm.
let's see. I mean, trying to think about, well, 45, the Lulu tribe didn't really have anybody who's good at challenges. I mean,
No.
Sabaya seemed pretty good, but I mean, they
Yeah.
got rid of her pretty early, I guess. But yeah, that was just kind of a disaster tribe from the get go. I mean, in 46, they kept Q around, of course, but they did get rid of Jelinski, who I think on paper was supposed to be good at challenges,
I think so
funnily
too.
enough.
But also, yeah, I mean,
You know,
yeah. I
that's a
will
shrug.
I
Yeah,
will say, for me specifically, and the players that I wanted to see back and the players I wanted to go far, overall, the boot order has been pretty good for me.
I would agree with that. I
Like,
would agree with that.
the worst loss for me was Q, but like since we saw Q so recently, it didn't sting as bad for
Yeah,
me.
and
Like
it's
he was,
also to me, I was not surprised. I was like, oh yeah, no. I saw the cast list and I saw the pregame interviews and I was like, all right, Q has a short lease on life, but I'll enjoy watching him. And
yeah,
by God, did I? So yeah,
yeah.
no, I totally agree. Beyond that, I mean, I wanted Jenna Lewis to go further. I thought she would go further, but I also think it's a nice kind of bookend to her Survivor career for her to be voted out first.
I, I
Um,
I've I'll say I'm not a like I've seen Borneo like a bit. I don't even know if I
sure,
finished Borneo. Like I know what happens in Borneo. Um, All Star
it's a
like
relic of another show. It's another show.
it's one of those things where it's like I think you understand like you're roughly the same age as me. I didn't grow up watching that era.
No, me
So like
neither.
Jenna Lewis doesn't speak to me in that sense. Like I'm happy she was there, but like that was not like when we lost Jenna Lewis in the first episode, I was like, honestly, like that's like one of the 3 to 4 people I would have wanted to see go, like relative to the rest of the cast, as much as I still liked everybody.
Yeah. And then even beyond that, like Kyle and Savannah, when the cast was announced, those were the two kind of are we serious here type
Yeah.
of picks, in my opinion. And it's like it sucked the way Kyle went out, obviously.
Yep.
And Savannah, in my opinion, actually brought a lot to the season when she was
Mm-hmm.
here. But am I, you know, sobbing that neither of them are here anymore? Maybe a little for Kyle, but not
Yeah.
not really. But and then Q going home was kind of expected. And then even going into this episode, it's like, hey, Mike White can cry on his millions of dollars or however much he makes. Like I maybe in an entertainment sense, based on what the season's brought so far, I would have rather seen, I don't know, an Angelina go or someone, but I'm not really. I don't care that much.
That's, I mean, at that point, I'm just like, it's like they're kind of in the same tier.
Yeah, they're both
Mike,
David versus Goliath, parentheses, not Christian. So there you
yeah,
go.
but yeah, like Mike White is probably is I can assure you he's on my bottom half of the players that I like wanted.
Yeah.
Not that, and like I say, I keep saying not that I don't like him. I liked almost basically everybody on this Catholic side of like 1 or 2 choices.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's some choices I didn't like, but like I become more okay with it. Mike White
That's
was
how I
never,
feel.
yeah, Mike was never one where I was like, oh, I really need to see Mike play again. Like I thought he would have been a great one and done on David versus Goliath to kind of be his story.
Yeah. And his return was nice. And I think the return for most everybody has been nice so far. But let's dive into who you're glad to see back and who you're angry to see back. And let's start with of course, Sari Fields, who was barely in this episode. Noah, I'll ask the hard hitting question now. Are you happy to see Sari back on Survivor?
Of course.
All right, great. No, but
Of
seriously,
course.
what do you think about Sari so far in this season?
It's very interesting. I have a lot of thoughts going back multiple episodes, probably for everybody. So you'll just bear with me for a lot of these. The thing that's interesting with Suri is last episode, or I guess the one we're reviewing, she got no confessionals. She was a zero confessionalist in this episode. In the first, I believe it was, the first episode where it was between Jenna and Suri, Jenna goes home. And the key takeaway I had out of the first episode that I love Suri, as unfortunately I've written her off as like a winner for me.
Yeah.
I think she'll go far. I think that's fair. But like, if this was Suri's winner story, they would have pushed her in the first episode to say, look at Suri, she's still got it. She's the one making the magic that saved herself. But that's not what we got. We got that it was not really her decision. We didn't really even see her that much rallying the votes. It was more that Jenna did herself in, is the story we got.
Yeah.
And I think if we have a Suri win, it's going to be a celebration of Suri throughout the season, like how we had, big edits from like Tony. Like it was kind of a Tony season. Even though he didn't have a big edit, he was still relevant throughout the season.
Sure.
And I feel, unfortunately, Suri has fallen, not to irrelevant because it's Suri Fields. Like she's always been relevant, but like strictly from an editing perspective, she has been irrelevant for the first 4 episodes.
But at the same time, like the Sari magic is still there, and Ozzy talked about it a good amount. And it's like, I think I've said this the past maybe every episode so far, but I'll say it again because I will not get over it. The fact that Sari did not go home in that episode when she was the vote, and then she messed the challenge up, and then people were like, "Well, I'm scared of her connection with Ozzy," and she still got out of it with 1 vote against her. Is insanity. And so the Sari magic is there. And I mean, even though she didn't get literally any screen time this episode, basically at all, it's not like I'm concerned for Sari's safety. In fact, that only makes me more sure that she's going to be around for a while because it's like, I feel like the editors, if they knew what they were doing, and it seems like for the most part, Zac Brown, none, thrown out, they do know what they're doing this season.
Yeah, that tribe's not losing. So like,
that tribe's not losing. They're the tribe with Jonathan.
So it's also totally fair why she didn't get any screen time.
And that's a funny thing about challenge strength too, because the original sort of originator of that vote against Jenna instead of Sari was basically, if I recall correctly, it was basically Emily and Christian who were leading that charge. And here they are, they're still continuing to lose. And Ozzy's also there. Like, come on, guys. which I love.
Yeah.
But I mean, it says something. Meanwhile, I mean, like Jonathan's tribe hasn't lost any tribe that Jonathan's on, but you think if they go to tribal council, they're going to be like, well, now we have to get Jonathan out, or we have to have Jonathan on the table to get out. Of course not. So, I mean, I hate to say it because if I ever got on Survivor, I'd definitely be, a classic weak nerdy white boy on Survivor, and it'd be bad for me in terms of challenge strength, but I'll give it up. I mean, focusing on challenge strength is usually a good idea. So I don't know. All right. Well, let's move on to our next person here, and let's talk about Rick Devens, who also didn't do a lot this episode, but he did try to juggle. Let me ask you, Noah, can you juggle?
I can juggle.
You can or cannot?
I can. Yes.
Wow. Have you, or do you think you're better than Rick Devens?
I'm not going to say I'm a great juggler, but he juggled for about 4 seconds, so I'm going to say yes.
Well, even beyond the juggling skills, what do we think about Rick Devens so far this season?
Rick Devens was somebody in my top 10 that I wanted back. The fact that he was the alternate is shocking to me.
Do we know who he was the alternate for?
He was, maybe he wasn't the alternate, but he was the last one on the cast.
Gotcha.
It's one of those two things. And either way, that's insane to me because Rick, the thing that I appreciate about Rick is that I know he's going to bring it all the time. He's a top tier confessionalist. So I know I'm getting great confessionals. He's going to be entertaining on my screen. And that's really what I want in Survivor. And he has like enough of a social chops to him that like he might burn out and flame out. But like, he's going to have fun while he's doing it, which is all I really want in a character.
Yeah. And oh my God. I mean, speaking of entertainment value, I just have to say this. It is very nice. I don't know the last time, it might have been Q in 46, where we had a contestant who felt like they knew how to make entertaining television and were doing it on purpose. I get there's a lot of merit to being accidentally entertaining on Survivor, just if you're like a Banu or someone and you're just like going insane and that's fun to watch or that's insane to watch. With Rick Devens and Christian and Charlie and I don't know, and Suri, it's like they're confessionals and the way that they tell the story of the game, it's designed to be entertaining and it is, So shouts out to Rick Devens for that reason. I mean, he hasn't done much since he's gotten swapped onto his new tribe, but that's also because he probably doesn't have to do anything because he has Jonathan on his team. So I mean, it's pretty nice. But I mean, I'll be interested to see once the merge hits, assuming Christian is still there, if they link back up and continue their Survivor bromance.
That's something I'm really looking forward to seeing. The way it's laid out is it makes me feel pretty confident that Christian will make the merge. I know there's a double vote, but like I don't think Christian's in any danger next week. No. And I just think this tribe's going to be the one that wins next week.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I mean, at the moment, I feel like what we've seen from Christian is just like, even though he has lost every single time so far, I feel like he's played one of the more dominant pre-merge games I've ever seen, just in terms of he has everybody in his pocket to some extent. So
yeah, I think we can get into this later, whether this was the correct move for Christian, because I think there's question marks there.
That is true. That is true. But in terms of pure
control. Just control, this is one of the more dominant control pre-merges I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's controlling his tribe better than Rick Devens is controlling coconuts. That's for sure. At least when he's trying to juggle them.
I think it was more like limes he was juggling.
Whatever it was, some kind of fruit-based entity.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next contestant, who is in fact going to be Camilla, who is also not in this episode much. Really has not been in the season very much. But what do we think about Camilla so far?
Camilla was somebody I was not as excited to see come back, and I want to caveat that on that to do with the fact that this was 50. I think she would actually be like a top 3 choice for me on a second chance this season.
Yeah.
But Camilla is somebody that like, it's somebody that like, I'm always like, do I really want, do I want Camilla on the season? And then you'll get the little bits of her and you're like, oh yeah, I love her. Like she's great. like I said, I still think she's would be better suited for a second chances run compared to here, just for the fact like I know she was going to get outshadowed with this cast, unfortunately, which is just how it's played out. But and I'm going to pivot a little bit just so I have something to talk about with Camilla.
Sure.
And I really think that Camilla is a top tier challenge competitor in challenges.
Yeah, that's something I've realized over time. When the
I
season first started, I kind of forgot how good she was at puzzles in 48. So yeah,
it's one of the things where it's like, okay, like we know like she's one of the best puzzlers I've ever seen on Survivor. But like the thing that makes her so good is that she's also vocal, and like we saw in last week's challenge, she's been the call she's comfortable being the caller, which she did on her season and she did on this season, and succeeded. I mean, was good at the caller in both times. Like she's not just a puzzler. Like I mean, she's never going to be a physical like challenger. Like that's not
probably
going to be
not.
her just because of her size. But like she packs like a lot of weight in the challenges, and like an interesting question I would have for you.
Sure.
Um, and I think I know your answer, but I think it's one you actually have to think about. Is with the
Yeah.
modern state of Survivor challenges, would you rather have Jonathan or Camilla on your tribe?
It is a good question.
I think you still take Jonathan, but I think it's one where you have to think about it. Like you really have to think about it.
Here's the reason I would take Jonathan. Even going beyond, I don't know if Jonathan has any puzzle ability. He might, I don't really remember, but I'm assuming he won't. Even if he's just physical strength. The way Survivor is casted nowadays, there are way more people who are good at puzzles
Yeah.
than there are people who are as good as. There's nobody who's as good as challenges as Jonathan, and I think Camilla is a top tier puzzle performer, but like I know this season it's weighted, but like there were some other great puzzle performers on the season. You know who I've been really impressed by? I've been really impressed by Chrissy. I didn't think I would, but she was almost as good at the puzzle in this
Oh
episode
yeah,
as
Chrissy was
Camilla
really good
was.
at puzzles on her season too.
Cerie's there too. I mean, she was like the puzzle queen in the first like 20 seasons of the show, and I'm sure there were so many other Christian literally breaks puzzle challenges. That's how good he is at them. So I mean, that's all to say. Yeah, I know I agree that Camilla's top tier, but I mean, I have no worries that Jonathan's tribe is going to win immunity every single week, and part of that is because of Camilla. I will
They have
say
both
that,
of them.
but
Yeah, when you have both of them, like
it's a real dynamic duo for sure.
yeah.
Maybe they should work together. Maybe Camilla can
I think they'd be a
work with
lot of fun to get
Jonathan.
there. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun to get there.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not going to talk about Jonathan yet. We'll get to him.
yeah. We'll get to him. But yeah, that'd be fun. But no, Camilla's been fun so far, and she's my winner pick at the moment. So I hope that she sticks around. Kind of. Yeah, she's kind of my winner pick. Whatever, we'll get to it. But yeah, we can talk about Jonathan.
Oh, great.
He's the next one up. What are you going to say about Jonathan? I mean, let's just continue the thought.
Jonathan's been interesting, especially from an editing. I know he didn't. I don't think he got a confessional again in this episode, but like up until this point, like Jonathan was like pretty relevant. Like he was. It's always a good sign when you're getting the confessionals you don't really like need to be getting that like anybody could give.
Yeah.
Because that means we're constantly just hearing from him. I think he's you can I could assure you if you told me before the season I'd be excited for Jonathan, I was like, what in the challenges? Sure, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But like he still really isn't bringing it in strategy, but he's been a bit. The thing that I've noticed is he's been better in the confessionals than he was in 42, in my opinion.
For sure. No doubt.
Is that he's been more dynamic and engaging in the confessionals, which makes him feel more fun. I think like you can be as fun as you want to in camp life. If you give bad confessionals, like you can only be so high. Mm-hmm. And like the easiest way to make yourself better television is to be better at the confessionals. And he's brought it in the confessionals relative to 42, and it's been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point because I think you're right because I'm in the same boat. I went into this season being like, yeah, Jonathan's here. That makes sense. You got to have someone who's really good at challenges, and Ozzy's a little too old now. We get that, but no, I think what Jonathan's presence on the show, it's reminded me that hey, he was one fire making challenge a win away from stating his case to the jury and maybe getting a few jury votes. Maybe probably not winning, but
No.
getting a few jury votes. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of saying that. And I mean, that's not to say Jonathan played a great game in 42, but I mean, a guy like that getting the final four, that doesn't happen in the new era. I haven't seen that happen otherwise. So I
No.
mean, I'll give some credit for that. The other credit I'll give to him does have to do with confessionals because I never thought about that until you just brought it up. Who's the last like big challenge beast guy who was actually legitimately good in confessionals? Like I'm thinking it's a guy who's also on this season, probably Colby, way back in like Australian Outback.
I have one. I have one that might get in the
Sure.
mix, and
Yeah.
that's James. I think James is pretty good in confessionals.
No,
I
he
don't think
was. That's
so.
that's
I would throw him in that mix, but like for the big challenge guy, like he's pretty good at confessionals.
for sure.
Especially when you look at some of the other people, like who have been bigger challenge guys, like Joe snoozing. Like I'll snooze through his confessionals.
Yeah.
We'll get to him. I'm trying to think of some other big challenge people.
That is a good point. I did not think of James at all because funnily enough, despite James's physique, I don't think of him as a challenge beast. I think he
I
only
know,
won like one immunity challenge,
but he's cast as the challenge beast.
but I mean he is. I mean, he's James, so yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my thought on that. Even Ozzy. I mean, Ozzy's been really good in confessionals this season, but I mean,
Oh,
throughout most of Survivor history, he's just Ozzy. He
I have so
literally
much to
said
say
this.
about Ozzy.
He
Yeah,
said at one point in this episode, "I'm Ozzy," and I looked at my television screen and I was like, when he's right, he's right. He is Ozzy. So
correct.
yeah. But no, I've been really enjoying Jonathan's presence so far, and I mean, I have no doubts he'll stick around a while. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like would I rather have somebody else from a different season? Like probably, but like it's not. It's been better than I expected.
If Jonathan is our new era like Joe Anglim, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's
Like
fine.
Jonathan's such an improvement over Joe Anglim, and I say that
I
as
agree.
somebody who loves second chances. I don't love racism, but I do love Joe Anglim. Or no, I
Yeah,
don't. I love his storyline on second chances.
yeah,
To be clear, of just being a
nice.
challenge beast, and then the moment that he gets vulnerable, it's like, all right, we gotta kill this guy. I love that. And I don't think that'll happen to Jonathan. But if it does, I wouldn't be like, whoa, I can't believe that. I'd be like, yeah, that's what you get for being, able to jump over boulders and stuff like that.
Yeah, like would I rather have Malcolm in this archetype? Duh.
But also, he doesn't really fit that
But he
archetype.
doesn't. He's not that exact archetype. He's like kind of adjacent to this, but like
Yeah,
yeah,
can't believe I said I love Joe England. That was embarrassing, and
I
I
I
feel
you
bad
wouldn't catch
about
me
that.
saying that, but
Yeah, that was
you do
tough.
you.
That was a tough moment by me. All right, let's move on. Please, let's move on. Let's go to our next person, Charlie. What do we, Charlie? Look at Charlie's hair in this picture, by the way. My God,
Mhm. He
insane.
has that like sea salt wave, if you will.
Yes, yes, exactly. What do we think about Charlie so far in this season?
Charlie has. It's very interesting, and I'm sure you said the same thing. This is not the Charlie I expected to get on this season,
Yeah,
but is a very pleasant surprise. I love anytime in Survivor we get these one-way rivalries where
I
the other person doesn't know that they're competing with them. And I always love that. Like I don't need it every season, but give it to me every couple seasons. Especially like it's great in the pre-merge. I think
yes,
it's a really good pre-merge to early merge storyline of the like, I really don't like this guy, and the other guy doesn't really know and is kind of just la di da di da, like doing his own thing. I think it's a lot of fun. Charlie's obviously brought it on that front. Um, Charlie's somebody that always I think is going to have a very high floor on any given season.
yeah,
I think he's a weird one. Like I don't know if I would have wanted him for this season, but I think his threat level would have been so high on his second chances that like I'm okay with him being on this season.
yeah, yeah. I feel
Um,
similarly. I mean, to be honest, like when 46 happened, I was not upset that Charlie lost purely because I would have been kind of like, I I did not think Charlie was entertaining enough to warrant being an interesting winner. Is sort of
he
my thought.
Charlie, he gives me they're different, but his game reminds me a lot of Tommy Sheehan's.
Mhm.
And I am really, really social. I'm athletic enough. Like I'm not going
Yeah.
to say he's like he can hold his own in challenges if he has to. Like I said, socially he's great. He knows how to connect with people, and and similarly to Tommy, like throughout the season, he wasn't in any real danger
No,
throughout the
not at all.
season because he's so like maneuverable. So like they give me similar comps to them. I've always said that if I and I'm as I really hate to say this because Omer always calls me off-brand Charlie whenever he sees me on Clock Tower, but like
Yeah.
that's who I think my game would most be like is Charlie's,
Mhm.
which is like funny because I would love to say somebody else, but like I'm being realistic of myself. That's probably who it would be.
That's
Uh,
who we can only hope to be. We wanna be a normal white boy. Please, somebody think of me as a normal white boy.
and as
Um,
instead of Taylor Swift for me, it'd be Sabrina Carpenter, but like same
yeah.
guy.
But no, it is funny you mentioned that, the similarities between him and Tommy because, like, aside from the winning thing, it's like I love Tommy's game. I think Tommy's game is really underrated.
I
But
do
part
too.
of the reason I'm so happy with his win is because compared to like every other possible person who could have won that season, it's like, oh, thank God Tommy won. Like maybe I would have liked to see Lauren win because she was cool, but like for the most part, it's like,
Like
oh,
Dean,
thank
who
God.
cares? Like a lot of
Yeah.
them, it's like
I actually did like
Dean
Dean.
was fun.
But
I
but
guess Dean was
still,
fun,
I
but
guess I guess that whole half of you know, half the cast compared to that, it's like Tommy, thank God. And
mhm.
meanwhile, Charlie versus the people in 46, it's like I like everybody else would have been probably a more interesting winner. Kenzie, Maria, Liz, Q, Tiffany, Venus, etc., etc., etc. And then Charlie's just kind of this normal white boy who likes Taylor Swift a lot, which I thought was annoying. Which makes me happy to say in this season he hasn't done that literally at all,
Nope.
which makes me happy. And I feel like he has learned how to be a more entertaining character on television.
He
Uh,
felt it felt in 46 almost like the I guess I'm gonna be assuming a little bit, but I also think I'm right here. He was giving the character of the liberal, well-educated white boy who has a fandom. Like
yeah,
like
sure.
I'm like the liberal arts college education who was upper middle class has their like that's like what he is, and like
Hmm.
he just like felt like he was the character of that with this Taylor Swift thing, whereas now I'm getting a dynamic of like, oh, like he's not the robot, like he has very real emotions towards Rizzo when he
Yeah.
doesn't, and like when Rizzo is lying about what happened on 49, but he's taking it as true. Like it's awesome.
It's almost like, and this isn't fair to Charlie because I know this isn't true, but it almost feels like he was like, all right, I got to spec into like some extremely like specific thing. I like Taylor Swift a lot, so I guess I'm just gonna be the Taylor Swift guy and see if that gets me casted. He
Yeah.
gets him casted, then everybody's always asking him about Taylor Swift because that's what he spec'd into. And he's like, God, I guess I have to do this. And then he gets to return as like, finally, I can just be like a normal person.
Yeah.
God, please, that's all I ever wanted to be is a normal person.
He feels he Charlie this season gives me the most, and I'm not even that big of a fan of the show, but gives me the most Jim Halpert vibes from The Office of like the normal
Yeah,
guy this
yeah,
season.
yeah.
Relative to everybody else in the season who's kind of insane, he like just strikes you as like the level-headed guy.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
especially when
that's
he's like on the tribe with Coach, and now is on the tribe with
yeah,
whoever else, Jonathan punching him in real
yeah.
life, real style.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, it's so I have been enjoying Charlie as a presence on this season, which I did not expect going in. I honestly, you said that this is a good spot for him. I probably would have disagreed with that. Like I would have rather seen him on maybe a Legend season, but not a Survivor 50 Legend season, if that makes
That's
sense.
fair.
Like a Game Changers equivalent, you know?
I think if I had to like cast him to the right season of the show, I wouldn't go second chances. I think he's too big of a threat. But what I think a fun season would be for him would be a fan versus favorites 3. I think he
Yeah,
would fit that theme pretty decently well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But either way, Charlie's
I,
been entertaining.
he's a
So
fun.
that he's a fun. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to our next person, who is the man, the myth, the legend, RIZ comma baby, who Charlie is currently in a one-sided feud with. Rizzo can be seen here holding his idol that he earned by looking
Mm-hmm.
inside his bag. Look, what do we think about the Riz God so far?
I am a big Rizzo supporter. I want to preface it with that. It's fun to get somebody who is authentically themselves and who is authentically like he feels like the first, and he's not, but like he feels like the first Gen Z contestant on the show.
I agree. I agree.
Even though he's not. But like that's like the vibe he gives. And it's fun in that sense, that he's playing off of all these old people, which is what makes
Yeah,
him especially and it's honestly weird. Like I had my thoughts about him on 40. I honestly like him more on 50 than I did on 49,
I agree. I
which
agree.
is like insane to me because like I'm sure the same way. Like I did not, and I still don't need to see Rizzo back for this season, but like he works better in this role on this season than I think he did entirely of last season.
I agree, and I'll tell you why. Because like in 49, I agree with you that Rizzo's like if he's not the first Gen Z, he's the most Gen Z of
Yeah.
any contestant that ever played the show. But even on 49, he's surrounded by other young people. The oldest person on his tribe
Mm-hmm.
was Nate. He was 44, but even still, Nate was like he was still kind of cool. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? He wasn't like he didn't feel old, if that makes sense.
I mean he was around movies, so like he's around pop culture. Like
That's exactly what I'm saying. So Rizzo was just kind of the most extreme of the vibe of the beach, the vibe of the island, and that made him entertaining, but it also made him like kind of annoying, in my opinion. And
mm-hmm.
like I still enjoyed him. I don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I still liked him, but you know, is a little like, all right, this guy's fun in kind of an annoying way. And now
Yeah.
here on 50, he is the exception to everybody else. He's the only
Yeah.
person who people haven't seen play. He's the youngest person on the cast by far. And he's also definitely the only Gen Z coded contestant, even though I think Charlie might also technically be Gen Z.
Oh, there's
But
been multiple Gen Zers, but like
yeah, but Rizzo is all that, and also he's just like oblivious to everything. I don't know if oblivious is the right word, but it feels like he's in his own world. I saw somebody online compare him to SpongeBob, and I think that's so true. He's just like he's just kind of doing his own thing with this kind of high pitched, squeaky voice, and things are working out for him. He has an idol now, so I mean,
yeah.
good for him. Yeah,
Yeah, like Rizzo is like let me put it this way, and I'm formulating this out loud without looking at our little handy spreadsheet of all the
sure.
characters. But if there is somebody I would like want to meet the most and get like a drink with and just like have a dinner with, I think it might be Rizzo.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that like in terms of what we're doing the podcast right now. I feel like Rizzo would be the person who'd be most like, especially before they're on the show. Like Rizzo would be all about something like this. You know what
Well,
I mean?
let me put it this way: one of the podcasts that I watch, he frequently comments when they're live, so I know he's still in the scene. Like,
I know I have seen some clips when he was on 50 about or when 50 was first airing of him being on like Dan Giesling's Twitch channel, which is like that's awesome to me because like I watch Northern Lion, those two are like interlinked. We're talking now,
yeah,
we're really talking about Gen Z stuff.
yeah, we
Um,
are.
but no, I agree. That's actually a pretty good shout. I think I would personally still say Coach just because it's Coach, but I mean like that's tomato
I
tomato.
Coach has gotten to the point for me where it's like, Coach is my all-time favorite person,
Hmm.
but like, there are enough things about Coach that I know outside of the game that could and would rub me the wrong way.
Sure,
Knowing everything about him, that I am totally fine letting him be the little box on my TV, and I'm content with that with Coach.
that's a good point. Yeah, yeah,
Whereas,
no,
like,
that's a good point.
I feel like I am way like, yeah, like it's like Rizzo is somebody where you could see them like you could see them as a friend because they're around your age, they are kind of similar to you. Whereas like Coach is like, yeah, like sure, Coach is Coach, but like he's done and said some things that I don't necessarily like or agree with. So let me just keep him in my box, let him be the little character on my TV, and it's great.
I'm gonna pull up the cast here actually because I'm curious. You've raised a good hypothetical. Just looking at the cast here, I think I might say Camilla. I think Camilla and I could get along well. I don't know.
Mhm.
She's I think she's a little older, definitely, but
Mhm.
I think we would get along well. I mean, she's seems terminally online enough to vibe with me. So
I
it's
feel like
fair.
I feel like we also have a little bit easier to say Christian or Emily just due
To the clock
to the
tower
nature
connection
of Clock
for
Tower
sure.
connection.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, outside of that, like I think Rizzo would be get him on Clock Tower, please.
I wonder if like he just hasn't been allowed to do that. So had there been any 49 people on the clock tower
I
with
don't
Dwight? I don't think
not that I can think of, but I
I
feel like
doubt
he's a
they've been
natural
allowed
fit.
to. Yeah. Well, all right. Anyways, that was a fun aside, but let's move on. Oh yeah, well, let's talk about the thing that Rizzo's holding up here, an idol.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll get to Genevieve in a moment, but like Rizzo has an idol now. Like, do you think he's gonna do the same thing he did in 49, bar for bar, word for word? Because I kind of think he will.
I think he is going to too. I really think
Yeah,
he will too.
yeah.
But
Which is
here's the
yeah,
thing. I liked it in 49. The only issue is it got to a point where it was too much and taking over the tribal, and it got to a point where it felt like after some episodes, you're like, okay, man, like. But I said I like him more now than I did on 49, so I might be more okay with it. But I remember on 49, I was like, all right, man, like you're not even like you aren't even like part of like being in contention to be voted here, man. Like you don't need to do this.
yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's very true. I think it's funny because sometimes when Rizzo does his confessionals, especially when he was like, "I want to prove that I'm one of the best players to ever play this game," it was like put a Southern accent on that guy, and he's saying the same thing as Russell Hantz.
Yeah.
I want to prove I'm one of the best players to play this game, and like just doing idle shenanigans for no reason. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's. I'm not saying Rizzo's Russell Hantz, but I'm saying if he
No.
wanted to be, he could go that direction.
Yeah.
He could pull off that pivot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next person, who is going to be Dee. Um, Look, Dee has had a kind of a weird season so far. She's the last winner left, and I felt like I already probably knew a little too much personal info about her, but I felt like I learned some very interesting information about how much she cares about country music this episode. What do you think about Dee so far?
Um, I like D. I This was not the season to bring D back for me personally. But
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed D on her season. I enjoy seeing D here. She's been overshadowed a bit, but like D is somebody that like for me where it's like I I feel like you could throw her on any given returnee season, and I'd be like, yeah, she's like a middle of the road person I want to see back. Like not like somebody I need to see back, but like that'd be interesting to like see D back, because I know D wants to go out and play all the time.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, like that's fine. Didn't need to see her back for here. That being said, she's one of the hardest ones for me to really talk about on this season. I feel like right now
Sure.
because like realistically, she hasn't gotten that much like she hasn't gotten really anything strategic outside of like the one thing with Camilla. Like, and I think that was the premiere.
Yeah, yeah, with
And
her
outside
and
of that,
Tiffany. Yeah.
yeah, outside of that, it's been strictly like kind of filler content wise because they're just winning, which is fine. But like, yeah, I like D. D's fun. It's D. It's nice that like D's bringing a little bit of like the age number down a bit, like into some like younger. If correct, D's in her late 20s.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So like it definitely is a help there. Um, it's also like I don't necessarily know if she's filling this role, but like at the moment she's kind of feeling like the pretty girl like part because like
Yeah,
she's like the
I see
younger
what you're saying.
attractive woman, I guess. Like
Sure.
so I
Yeah.
guess she's kind of in that role, but like she's so much smarter than that role ever is. So like it's I guess an interesting spin on that.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not an archetype I necessarily think super exists anymore, but
no,
I do understand what you mean. I think it's less of, a pretty girl and more of a poverty type, which is,
yes,
can we get an attractive woman who is also here to play the game strategically? And I think D definitely fits that.
yeah,
Um, and I'll say this about D. I do disagree with you in this sense. Like, I do think this was the season to bring back D,
mm,
because if you want to do Survivor 50 and you're gonna fill it up with a bunch of new era people anyways, you're gonna want to bring back the person who I think is generally agreed upon to be the best winner of the new
yeah.
era, which means the
I would
best
agree.
player of the new era. And
Yeah,
we haven't seen a lot from D. I don't think she's been to tribal council yet, if I am not mistaken.
I don't believe
Um,
so.
Either way, whether she was or wasn't. But either way, I felt like she hasn't really been in danger. I think she actually
No,
has been the. Oh, I don't know. Who cares? Whatever. Maybe she has. Maybe she hasn't. But either way,
she might have been targeted on that first tribe,
but then
but like,
also, coach was literally like, "You're gonna go home, Chrissy," who is the one who's trying
yeah,
to target her.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Regardless, I think that D is a really good player, and I think that that will only be seen if that actually is true come merge. I mean, she has a tough road ahead of her for sure.
Yes.
Um, but it's just kind of a matter of if she can navigate through it, because I do think she, despite having such a big target on her, I think when the merge hits, she will not have the biggest target. I think she'll have a few people that she can push in front of her. Like Jonathan might be the obvious one, but like, judging by how it's gone so far, I think Christian could have a big target on him. I think Emily could have a big target on her, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe some of these other players too. So
Mhm.
we'll have to see how it goes. But look, that's not the reason why I think Dee's worth talking about. Um, I really want to talk about Dee and her relationship with one man who I didn't know she had such a kindred relationship with, and that would, of course, be the hidden 25th contestant on this season, uh, the one, the only, Zac Brown. Seeing here doing a confessional, he looks very, very tight. He looks like he doesn't know how to do this.
No.
Um, Look, Zac Brown was a big part of the episode.
Mhm.
Um, Big part of the season, really. I mean, more time on air than Tiffany. Um, what do we think? What do we think about this Zac Brown reward?
I've actually like gone like completely flipped like a couple times on my thoughts on this reward, and
Mhm.
I've come to the conclusion that this was a great reward. There,
Yeah,
I have some caveats that I'll get into with this, but by and large, I think this was a great reward.
break
And
it down.
I'll break down why this was a great reward. First, let me start with things I did not like about it, just to
Okay,
get those out of the way. I
sure.
think the spearfishing segment was a bit long at the
Yeah,
beginning. I think that could have been toned down a bit. I don't think I needed me. This is me personally. I don't know if this is an opinion. Like, I didn't need the second song that he played.
yeah,
I didn't need that. But outside of that, more or less, like outside of like a little bit less spearfishing and cut the second song, I think we would have had like an all time reward. And
yeah.
the reason I say that is when is the last, and you can answer if you don't have to, but like when's the last time there was truly a memorable reward in the new era? I can't think of one. When was the last
I
time there was
cannot
just
think of one. I can't
when
think
was
of
the
one.
last time there was an iconic reward in general? I couldn't tell you the last time it was.
I'm really trying to think. I mean, Cochrane,
Yeah,
Cochrane, and,
probably I
and
would say
Game
that's
Changers.
probably Cochrane and Game Changer is probably the last reward I distinctly remember like doing something about. So like if it's been 16 seasons where I don't really remember a reward, like I'm sure there's some that like
Yeah, like loved ones visits, I
yeah,
guess.
that
You
would
get
come like
that.
I'm sure
Yeah,
there's some that like would be after you would say like oh yeah, but like I think it's saying something off the top of your head you can't think of one from in that
yeah.
time, whereas like this is a reward that people will always know and think about. And for that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, was it a little long? Sure. Did I need
Yes.
to hear him play music? No. But I mean, I think about it like this. If you want to really capture, if you want the editors and you want the show to, go back to more of Survivor's roots, you have to go back to the roots of kind of stupid rewards
Correct.
that are way too big. Look, I mean, Jack and Jill is kind of the obvious example. That's the one that came to my mind in terms of, people are just saying that this is great, even though it clearly is I mean, it might be cool, but it can't be that cool. You know what I mean? And Coach is like, I love Zac Brown, and Genevieve's like, I love Zac Brown, and Aubrey's crying. It can't be that
Coach
cool.
is crying.
Coach is crying. That's true, shedding a single tear. Um, but I'll say this. I mean, look, Survivor has a long history of these rewards that don't seem that cool, that seem to mean a lot to the contestants. One of the ones I can think of is in Survivor Africa, when Frank and Brandon have their little date night watching Out of Africa with some, jelly beans or whatever. It's kind of stupid. Treasure Island and Heroes versus Villains, iconic. Such
Yeah.
a stupid reward, but iconic. I mean, Gulliver's Travels in Survivor Nicaragua. God, I'm sure there are so many others I can think of. I mean, especially in the early seasons, there are a lot of rewards like that. Like I think about Survivor Amazon. There's the one where they just get to go to a coffee hut, and then Alex Bell drinks like 3 shots of espresso, and then runs around the island crazy style. It's awesome. It's great. It's stupid, but it's fun. So I mean, it felt.
Only,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say the only reward in the new era that I've thought about this for a little bit, that I could even say has any meaning is the 46 Applebee's one, but that's not even directly the reward. That's just because of the situation and people around it. Yeah. Whereas like if you that reward in a vacuum is not memorable whatsoever.
But that is sort of the type of thing I'm talking about. Maybe it's just because, these rewards aren't sponsored anymore, except, by the Sanctuary or whatever. But like, I think about stupid rewards, back to Heroes versus Villains, the sprint like phone rewards, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna take you to these great islands, and we're gonna make sure you snap a pic with your sprint island phone, something, whatever. I don't know. Awesome. Stupid, but awesome. And I think this is in the same vein, where it's like, sure, Zac Brown maybe didn't need to tell me his life story, but it's like, okay, whatever. But I mean, the set design of having the him autograph like "See you soon, Zac Brown," and then him coming back with this giant ass fish, and also shooting it with a gun, basically.
I did, yeah. Like, I was thinking when I was watching that, like, yeah, I get you're spearfishing, but you're basically shooting it like with a harpoon.
Yeah,
like it's really what you're shooting this fish with. Like, where's I'm sure you have to aim, but like, where's the real challenge in shooting the big fish when like it's gonna die? Like, it's not fishing.
Like, I mean, look at this picture. I mean, Zac Brown seems to be pretty buff, all things considered. But I mean, that thing was like literally as long as my wingspan can go.
Yes,
it's crazy. So yeah, I don't mind the spearfishing scene for that alone, because that kind of took me out of it.
Like I said, I wanted some, but it was just a little too long for me there. And like I said, I didn't need a second song. I got the perfect amount of cheesiness I needed from the confessionals from Coach and Colby and like all of them from the first song. Like with the Coach cry, I got all, and that was perfect. It's when I got to the second song where I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if I can keep like it just gets what it gives you is it just gives you that awkwardness, because like
it was really awkward.
They didn't pan away from it, so it just felt like I felt uncomfortable watching it, in the sense of like I'm literally just watching him play a song, and like I'm not it's funny, I'm a big music person, I know who Zac Brown is, but like
sure,
modern country is like one of the few things I just don't listen to, because I don't find a ton of value in modern country relative to other genres personally. But like, yeah, like of course I know some songs, but it's like if you throw me out there, like it's gonna be nice to hear some music, obviously, but like I ain't gonna be crying over it. Like
This is great because the next person we talk about is Tiffany, and this is not me saying we have to talk about Tiffany now, but this picture I pulled for Tiffany, I think, kind of says it all, which is like you. I feel like Tiffany watching this is kind of how I would feel, which is just like I look at her expression, and I'm not thinking, oh man, Tiffany's really enraptured with the music of Zac Brown. I'm thinking she's thinking, God, there's a camera on me right now. I have to look normal.
Yeah.
I have to look like I'm enjoying this. And that's the vibe I kind of got from the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is to say, I mean, the power of, the Survivor contestants to still look relatively normal, or not relatively normal, but to cut confessionals that seemed somewhat authentic. Like Colby's was very good,
Yes.
all things considered. And Coach, I mean, he did this the last time he played, so
He knows
talk.
exactly how to give a reward confessional.
Yes, but even like Genevieve, I don't think has ever listened to a country song in her life, but I mean, she was still like, I'm a big fan of Zac Brown.
Oh, please. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
no.
no, you're not Genevieve
Yeah,
stuff.
and I saw people theorizing online that the reason Aubrey was crying when Zac Brown walked in is because she thought it was going to be like a Make-A-Wish child, which is crazy to me that people said that. But that is kind of funny because I know Aubrey's ass was not crying for Zac Brown.
No,
there's no way.
God, no.
There's no way in hell. Maybe she thought it was like a loved ones thing. I don't know. I think Make-A-Wish child's a little far, but whatever. Look, it didn't need to be 20 minutes, but I did think it's not worth at all having people review bomb it to make it the worst rated episode on IMDb for Survivor.
It's not even close to the world. Like,
it was good. It's a good episode.
This was a good episode. The one thing I would say, like I said, it was a little long, so the pacing of the episode felt strange to me as a result of that.
Yeah. I thought there were going to be 2 eliminations, and then we added a contestant. We added Zac Brown.
That's why it was like when I saw going into the episode, I was like, we're gonna have one elim, which I think is a mistake, but like, okay, we're gonna do one elimination. Then I saw it was immunity and reward at like 5 minutes in. It was really early on.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and I was like, oh,
things are happening.
So maybe we're doing a double, like that. Yeah. That's interesting. Like, just due to the time. And then like when I don't know, like it got to a certain point when I was like, okay, like no, they're just like gonna drag this out for really long is what it ends up being. But like in all honesty, like thinking about it episode to episode, was there anything else we really needed from the tribe that went to tribal to understand the picture? Not really. Like, sure, you always like would maybe want 1 or 2 more like interactions, but like I think we all got the general gist of what was going on there and the dynamics there. Is there a point to throw like, and of course the blue tribe is at the reward, so like they're gonna have some, but like the orange tribe, was there any reason really to show them at all in today's episode? Not really. Like, no. So like what, you're gonna give them more screen time when they're irrelevant to the episode? Like, it's not ideal, but like it's not that big of a deal.
And I mean, the Orange Tribe did get screen time too. I mean, it was mostly Dee, sobbing about not seeing Zac Brown. But I mean, like, that's interesting television. Say what you will about the Zac Brown reward, but it gave me an element of Dee who was so calm, cool, and collected throughout all of Survivor 45. And the challenge too, which I also watched. That it's like, I've never seen this side of Dee. This is I was gonna say
this might be the best confessional Dee has ever given in the sense of showing character and emotion.
Yeah,
I love Dee for not showing those things, but like this is a different confession. I liked it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it was interesting for sure. But I mean, there were people on this beach who were forced to listen to Zac Brown. One of those people was in fact Tiffany, who, yes, believe it or not, is on this season. Do we have any thoughts on Tiffany so far throughout the season?
I hate to talk like bad on the cast and whatever, but like by all accounts, Tiffany has been, in my opinion, a waste of space on the season as of right now. Mm-hmm. I do need to clarify that with like, we still have like 19 people left in the game. So like,
true. Yeah.
So like, there's plenty of time for Tiffany to pick it up. Like, that's like not act like that. It can't happen.
Yeah.
but like we're gonna be going into episode 5 with 19 people left, and Tiffany hasn't brought anything so far. That it doesn't give me confidence to like think there's big things coming for Tiffany. Like if Tiffany was gonna like go far, I would probably expect to have seen her a little bit more than she is now. Or she kind of feels like somebody that goes in a double boot episode. Like
Yeah.
she goes
Maybe next
like around
episode.
I don't know about next episode, but like goes around the merge, like maybe when they split into 2 tribes. I think they have to do that this season if they want to get the people down. Like when they
Yeah.
split into 2 groups, like she feels like somebody that goes around there. That's like, okay, like we'll edit her up in the last episode right before, but like
Well,
she's not purple. Like we've seen Tiffany, so like it's not that big of a deal. And I'm actually happy we're doing this because like Tiffany is somebody I don't necessarily need to hear from compared to the other people I want to hear from. So I
yeah.
don't really have any problems with it.
Let me ask you, would you rather have her go out kind of near the merge, or would you rather have her make a deep run with how she's been edited so far?
Go out on the merge.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Honestly, like I'm with you, and I feel like she's kind of been a waste of space so far. And if that changes, I'll be here and I'll be
Yep.
watching and I'll be like, all right, that's cool. I'm good with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, I kind of got to see it to believe it at this rate. Like to me, it feels like she's by far the biggest kind of dud on the cast so far. That's not to say that she isn't entertaining,
I would
but
actually
also
maybe
we haven't
disagree
seen
with
her.
the but we haven't seen her. So like
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's true. She's just been the most invisible, which is it's tough
under
to be entertaining when you're not on the show.
well, I was gonna say it's understandable why when like on the grand scheme of things, for most people, she was at the bottom if they want to see return. Like
Yeah. Speaking
and that's
of
nothing against Tiffany.
Speaking of on the bottom of who you'd like to see return, if I got this right, I think this is going to be a good segue. No, it wasn't. Sorry, people did want to say Chrissy back. Sorry, that's my bad. That'll work in like another person or two. Look, what do we think about Chrissy so far?
Chrissy's been about what I expect, I think.
Yeah,
We're getting about as much Chrissy as I would expect to get through the season. We're getting a different side. I like the content we got in the last few episodes from Chrissy, a little bit more emotional, a little bit more thoughtful. I've appreciated that. I've liked her little story of like talking like oh, people don't like me. I got to work my way into being liked. Like I've enjoyed that.
yeah,
It's been pretty self-contained, but like some people just kind of need to have self-contained stories like this, and I'm perfectly content from what we've got from Chrissy.
yeah. No, I totally agree with that. It's not a very character arc that shows up often on Survivor, but I do like the trope of Survivor contestant tries to learn how to be likable. The person I think about with that is Spencer in Second Chance, who's like, I gotta learn how to be human, and then he loses unanimously at Final Tribal Council. It's great.
Last time the last person I can think of that gives me similar archetypes to that vibe is Emily on 45.
Yeah. Yeah, which is
Um,
funny because now she's here and that's like the least of her concerns is being
correct.
likable. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's interesting how that goes. But no, it's Andy also kind of had a similar one in 47. His was a little different because it was a
I
little
was
more like
I was considering mentioning Andy, but Andy's felt more.
it felt more self. No, I don't know how to describe it. It was just a little different because it was more like he just had to kind of learn how to play the game too.
Yeah, like it was more like a breakdown to
Yeah,
like in that sense, where it's like Emily was just like, oh no, people just found her annoying.
yeah, yeah. Either way, I think Chrissy. Look, when Chrissy was going to be on the season, she was never going to be in one of the castaways I was the most excited for, or the most entertained by. I think Chrissy should be here. I think she's a person you have to cast for a season like this. But I also think it's an obligation and not necessarily. It's Jeff Pope saying, "My bad. We did do you wrong. That was my bad." But
I
I mean,
could have
yeah,
I could have seen her fitting on a second chances as well. But I don't think this is a bad choice. So few people in the 30s have come back. that like I'm not gonna like complain about this casting choice. I think this is a fine pick
Yeah,
for
not at
going
all.
for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, but by the nature of being on successful tribes and not being on the one that loses time after time, we haven't seen a lot of Chrissy so far. But as I've said before, I've been impressed with her in the puzzles. So I mean, I'll
Yes.
give that to her as some credit. But
Mhm.
yeah, all right, let's move on to our next person, who is going to be Joe. This is what I was trying to set up for people who are, not excited to see this guy back. But let me ask you, Noah, how do you feel deep inside that Joe is back for Survivor 50? What have you felt so far?
I I think I'm more, and this is strictly a me thing. I'm more conflicted than most, strictly because I feel a connection to Joe because he is from the city. He's representing the city that I live in,
Hmm.
and so on that sense, I feel the connection of like I feel like I have to kind of like Joe
Sure.
because he's from Sacramento. So I feel like I kind of have to like him, but like he gives me nothing, man. Like
He makes
in
it
the
so
nicest
hard.
way, he makes it so hard for me. Like I really like. He's an archetype that generally like I like the firefighter, hero archetype. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so many like people I like come from this archetype,
Like
but it's
Turner is
just,
a good example too. Similar,
but
but like
yeah,
entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, but like he's it's just like watching paint dry with him. I really can't.
I
I
look,
just
I'm gonna be a bit of a Joe defender right here. I'm not gonna defend a lot, but I'm gonna defend him a little. I think on 48 it was rough. It was rough, but
yes,
his relationship with Eva really carried it. Their dynamic really carried it, but watching him interact with other players is just torture. But I think part of the torture was because, I mean, for the benefit of Kyle and Camilla's games, they allowed him to kind of walk seemingly, based on the edit we were given, seemingly walk all over them, even though that definitely
yeah,
wasn't true at the end of the day. And then people like Shaheen were just kind of like, God, okay, I guess.
yeah.
So I appreciate him doing the same thing on 50 because it's kind of more the same, but it's also a little different. Like I think about
I
him and Rick Devens because it's like people, especially episode or one, are like, okay, I guess if Joe wants this, then I guess we'll have to do it. And then episode two comes around, and then Rick Devens and Christian are like, oh my god, this guy's so annoying. We can't work with this guy. This guy is just so annoying. And keep in
uh-huh.
mind, this is from Christian, who is still choosing to play with Emily Flippin, who essentially is doing a similar thing in terms of being tough to work with, but
Yeah,
you know, is
he
being so more ally-ish than Joe is, if that makes sense.
I it's it's funny because Joe, I don't know how to describe this. Joe and Coach are like kind of similar,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like they're not. And I know if people know what I'm talking about. That where like they are going to play honesty, integrity. Coach never really means it. Joe actually does mean it and wants to like.
They mean
It,
it so much, but in so different ways. They're the same words, but with Coach, it's his
I
moral fiber, and with Joe, it's his moral fiber. I don't know. It's the same, but it's different. I don't know.
he ha, I think there's potential for some really fun Joe moments on the season coming down the line in this alliance with Coach and Colby, or like Coach flips on Joe, and like we get some like fun interact. I think there's some potential here from Joe.
Yeah. Okay. No, I got it. So the thing with Joe is that his moral fiber dictates who he is outside the game, and Coach's moral fiber is whatever I do in the game does not dictate my moral fiber outside the game, and that's the difference. Is Coach will say that he's honorable no matter what he does because he wants to be seen as honorable outside the game.
Yeah,
Matter being honorable inside the game is, like that's cool with him or whatever. But if
yeah.
you dare insinuate that he's
Question.
dishonorable outside the game, then he will cut you. And meanwhile, Joe's just like, I want to play a straight up game. Is that so bad? When was it so bad to be honest on Survivor? You're the one who's lying. I'm the one who's being truthful. I'm in the right here. And it's like, God, Joe, you might be objectively right, I guess. but God, you're making it hard to
I,
listen to you.
I will
So
say
yeah.
I'm not going to dox, but I know the fire station that Joe does work at.
Hmm.
And I will say every time I happen to walk by it,
Yeah.
not a ton, but like every time I walk by it, I'm always like, am I going to see Joe in his fire outfit working at the thing? Haven't seen him yet, but
I
maybe it
gotta,
happens.
I've seen a lot of psychological stuff about like what Survivor does to your brain, like when you come back from it. Joe
Mm-hmm.
has been on essentially 2 times in a row. The vibes at the fire station when he came back must have been horrendous. He must not have trusted anyone. He must have been like, we have a fire at, 2 hours away, or probably not that far, but an hour away. You're lying to me. You're just sending me to that because you hate me or
Yeah.
something like that. It's crazy. Um, Look, we joke about Joe being annoying, but I do think that hey, of course he's going to be on this season. I think it makes sense as last 2 seasons representative.
As
Um,
much as one of those where as much as I don't want him on, I completely understand why he was put on the season.
yeah, and it's kind of been fun watching him turn into a pseudo villain who is still being portrayed as very heroic. He's almost like a Rupert in I don't know, maybe
Any of his seasons.
any of his seasons. I was thinking Pro Islands, but yeah, I guess I would say like late stage Pro Islands Rupert, where he goes from being the lovable pirate to being the guy who yells at Johnny Fairplay. Um, that's kind of where we're at with Joe, but I'd take that Rupert 10 million times out of more times than Joe right now. But hey, that's just me. All right, well let's move on to our next person, who is going to be Colby, an honorable man himself, kind of. What do we think about Colby so far?
Colby's been bringing it this season.
Yeah,
Um, I we haven't gotten like a ton of strategic stuff from him, but we know exactly where he stands. He's with Joe, he's with Coach, and he's there. And they're kind of having a fourth, which is seemingly Genevieve. I think that's kind of up in the air for where that fourth is. It could be Chrissy, but like, I Colby's been bringing it. It's Colby is like I think Colby is kind of an enigma in Survivor because like I really people can respect Colby, but a lot of the things people don't like about Colby come from outside the game, um, and political stuff. But like,
yeah,
but like by all accounts, Colby has been bringing it this season. He's been a lot of fun on my TV. He's been a breath of fresh air to get some old school gameplay on, and I'm very much enjoying having him on here. He was somebody that's I think was a lock, maybe not a lock, but like he was a lock to be on the season. I
if
think.
he wanted to do it, he would have
Yes.
been a lock. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but even still, like he's somebody that we haven't seen him play for so long that I'm thrilled to have him on my TV.
yeah. No, I feel similarly. I think the pushback with Colby, and you may know things that I don't, but I feel like a lot of the pushback from Colby was kind of like, why would we want to see him back? He has no passion for the game. And I feel like this season he's kind of shown that, oh, he's still in it. I mean, I've been more impressed by him strategically and just philosophy on the game wise than I have been from a lot of people who played in the new era. Like I
Oh,
feel like he really understands the game, and I feel like a lot of that is just because he's always been a great confessionalist and knows how to talk to the camera. But I think a lot of it's genuine. Like it's night and day. It's so funny. Episode 1, it's like, yeah, Colby and Stephanie are working together. Yeah, all right, okay, here we go again. And since then, it's really been night and day of how they've seen the game, where it feels
mhm.
like Stephanie, even still, is just kind of going through the motions. She's like, I'm out here playing Survivor. But Colby, I feel like, is like, all right, I know what I have to do. I have to
Yeah.
actually do some stuff, form some relationships.
I
So,
would. The biggest thing I would say about, I'm not going to dive into things too much. If you're an old school player and people are trying to find reasons why they don't want to see them back, and the examples I'll give are Stephanie and Colby.
mhm,
More
mhm.
often than not, it's super fans trying to find an excuse because they do not like their political beliefs.
Yeah. And
And I'll just leave it there. Like I disagree with their beliefs, but like I can also separate those from the game. Like my favorite player is Coach, who is definitely different on the political spectrum than I am.
Yeah, same
So
here.
like, it's not like I'm not worried about that. Like I said, they are in the little box. They live on my TV screen. They aren't real people outside probably Christian and Emily. They're
Mhm.
not real people outside of them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just to talk about that very briefly, it's like Survivor's always been a game about different
Yeah,
views. That's the point of the whole show. I
yeah,
mean, that's what it was based off of and founded
exactly.
off of. And that's not even to say that like I care that much about someone's, political leaning or I
Yeah,
don't care about it. I'm just saying like getting rid of someone purely for their beliefs in that sense isn't fair because I mean Survivor Africa had Frank on it. It had Carl on it. Like there were some very right wing people on the early seasons, and it's
I
like those are still good seasons of television.
let me put it this way:
Yeah,
if you made a left wing only season of Survivor, it would suck. If you made a right
probably.
wing only season, it would suck.
Yeah,
So like, you
you
really
need
need both of
balance.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting for sure. I mean, I can't even think of like somebody on the far left or far right who's ruined a season because of their political beliefs. Like maybe it's made it worse, or maybe it's made it more uncomfortable.
it
Like
hasn't been the sole. It hasn't
racism.
been the sole reason.
Yeah, it's
The racism thing is like that's a different.
that's a different topic of
Yeah.
conversation, really. But I mean, it's interesting.
Yes.
It's an interesting conversation to have. In general, I don't think it should matter for casting purposes, and I
No.
think the Survivor casters agree. That's all to say. Colby's been great.
Yeah, Colby's been great.
Colby has been great. All right, let's move on to our next person, who I believe is going to be, yes, Benjamin Coach Wade, the Coachster. What do we think about Coach so far?
Coach has delivered, and I think maybe I'm speaking for everybody. I think we have all gotten an amount of Coach where people like myself who are Coach fans have been more or less satisfied with what we've gotten.
Yep.
But the people who don't like Coach don't feel overwhelmed with the Coach show. And I
Yes.
think they've actually found a pretty decent balance of like he's getting like a confessional or two here or there, but like he's also not been relevant to the story. So it feels like the right amount of Coach.
Yeah. No, it's great because I mean, in this sense, it's like throughout this is the first time in Coach's time on Survivor where he has been able to get this far in the game without having to go to a tribal council or really to having any sort of heat on him one way or another, just in terms of making strategic decisions. Coach hasn't had to play the game yet, which means all we've gotten so far is just Coach being Coach, which is of course some of the best Coach content. Is just
Yeah.
him just being just a weird ass guy. Like that's what makes him mine and yours our favorite, Survivor contestant. Um so that's to say that when the Vila or whatever it is, the Christian tribe loses for again another time, instead of Jeff going to them being like, how do you feel that you lost? He goes to coach and be like, Coach, say something.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you can only do with Coach, and that's great. It's great. That's what makes him one of a kind, really.
Yeah. It's been good, and I think we've gotten more kind of just zaniness, kookiness, like fun Coach moments so far. But we've gotten at least enough, like I wouldn't really call it strategic confession, like because it's not really strategic, but like we have a good sense of where he stands in the game and who he's aligned with. And like that's all I can really ask for considering he's not relevant.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And I do think the Coach like content, scale has been good. Like I don't need to see Coach every 10 seconds because the amount of time he'll provide me in an episode will be so entertaining that it's like, all right, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Like even just looking at Coach, like I'm looking at this picture of him right now, and I'm like, this is entertainment. Look at that.
Mhm.
Look at his tattoos. Look at his face. He looks relatively naked. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, like that's great. That's Coach
I
Wade, and I was so worried when he was going to be on this season because I was like, Coach has the best multi-season storyline of any contestant. Like, what's the point of bringing him back?
yeah.
But I mean, like time will tell. We'll see if I'm right about this, but it's like shit. He's playing with house money. He's still entertaining. That's all I really needed.
And I think that's the thing where it's like with so many of these characters, I don't think like production doesn't think about it, but like what is their arc on the show?
Yeah.
Um,
Ozzy's a
Coach,
good example of like, he had I've said this before, but I'll say it again. He had like one of the best arcs ever after South Pacific. And it
yes.
was like, all right, you done good with Coach and Ozzy. You're good. And then they bring Ozzy back for Game Changers, and it's
Oh,
like boo all the way down the drain.
yeah.
But I mean, this season,
Oh, Ozzy's
bringing it back up.
his stock is soaring back up,
Ozzy
which is
stocks have maybe never been higher.
no,
So
I
I
would
mean,
agree.
and we'll get to him obviously, but that's sort of what I think about. I think about the multi-season storylines quite a bit. I mean, when we were talking about Chrissy, I was just talking about Spencer. He has a great multi-season character arc of I have to learn how to be human, and then he fails at
Mhm.
it. That's a good
Yeah,
arc. So I mean,
yeah.
no, it's good, and Coach is Coach, and he'll
I
always
also
be
think
entertaining.
I also think Coach is going far this season based off of context clues we've gotten.
Please, please, I'm praying to the God that
I,
that
it's
that
just
Coach prayed to in South Pacific.
it's like I think some of this is preseason, but everybody like in preseason says they want to work with Coach, and Coach is never going to be the first person you're going to want to target really for any given
No,
reason. So
no,
like I have high hopes. I think he's the edit's been so weird this season. I can't really say anybody's drawn dead. Like he's not like he still has a very real shot to win, just due to the way the edits work. Like he's gotten a confessional in every episode, which is like a key to winning in at least a new era by the editing metrics. Um, but yeah, he has a shot, which
yeah.
I
I
would.
mean,
I mean, I've all like if Coach won 50, like I think it's like that's one of, if not the best person that possibly could win 50 for just like the overall like his arc would I think would be the greatest arc of all time in Survivor if he won 50.
for sure, for sure. I mean, it
Uh,
would be the two people who are like dream scenario. It's him and Suri. It's like
yes, those are the
that's
only two people. Like if they win, they have perfect arcs of Survivor.
yeah. Ozzy's would also be perfect, but I mean that's not happening.
I would say his is slightly less than perfect just due to how bad Game Changers was, but
Yeah,
like
that's
it
true.
bring it back up to where how good
And
it
then
could have
there's
been.
the second tier of like, all right, this is your second time playing, and it's like you had a great time the first time, and it's like this would be great too. Like Christian's a good example. If he wins, it would be
Devins is
amazing.
in that for me too.
I was about to say Devins is he would also be a great example. I think well, D already won. I didn't even know how great of an arc it would be if she won again.
Genevieve. I know
Genevieve,
we're gonna talk about Genevieve in a sec,
Aubrey
so I'll
would
give
be
you
a
a
really good
segue.
one in my opinion. But it's like, yeah, no, that exists for sure. But Coach and Suri are definitely kind of a step beyond. All right, well, let's move on to our next contestant, who is going to be Genevieve. I mean, we just mentioned her.
Mother Vive, you mean?
Mother Vive for sure. Um, this is, by the way, I got the screen grab of her explaining how much she loves Zac Brown because I wanted to mention that if we didn't already talk about it
Mm.
naturally. So I'm glad we did. Um, Look, what do we think about Genevieve so far? She found an idol this episode. She found an idol this episode.
Genevieve has Mother Vive has found
Mhm.
two idols. Is we have seen. I was worried about how much we were going to see Genevieve
Yeah.
before the season started. I am so happy with the content we're getting from Genevieve. I know I would say she's probably been over edited relative to what she probably should get. Like, I
I mean,
get it's
she's
because
found
she
two
found
idols.
idols. She found two idols. So, like, I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense. But, like, gameplay wise, like, in that sense, not a lot. But, like, Genevieve is, like, such a good nothing that hasn't been said. Like, such a good combination of gameplay to bring it in the confessionals to just having fun that, like, any season that Genevieve would or could be on, I'd be like, yes, I need to see her back.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
want to see her back.
I think she's just also like she's very naturally like easy to root for. Like
Mhm.
she has this she's got aura. She's got aura.
Yeah,
I
she has a lot of aura, I think is the right way to say that. Yeah, I would agree.
I was thinking about this earlier today. I was thinking about Survivor 40 47 a little, and I was like, you know what? I need to rewatch that season because the end of that season's just an aura off between her and Rachel. It's just like who has the most aura at any given
Yes.
moment, who outmogs one another, who flies to ASU to
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody else does, but we do.
No,
Um
I unfortunately know, but yes.
um but yeah, it's so that's all to say. Genevieve's been very entertaining. People like her and Charlie to some extent are just like they are entertaining even when they're just being strategic. Like especially Charlie this season. I feel like even though he's just kind of being the standard narrator and Genevieve's kind of being the standard narrator, although she's found two idols, it's like just the way that they talk is like they help progress the
Mhm.
narrative forward, even if they're not making a joke, which I think is tough to do. I think that's really hard to do, but I think she does it
Yeah.
well. So yeah. And she's found two idols. I've seen a lot of people be really upset, probably justifiably so, that she hasn't been able to keep either of the idols. But I think it's better than getting a beware advantage, which would be the alternative for the new era, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Like I I can't complain because we're seeing something different.
Yes, that too. That too. And I mean, she doesn't have two idols right now, but she could. It could happen. And I mean,
Yeah, it's just a new thing that we don't know the dynamic of, and it'll lead to some interesting stuff in the merge.
yeah, for sure. Let me ask this really quick because Genevieve did find two idols. Who do you think is more likely to get blindsided with it? Do you think it's Rizzo or do you think it's Ozzy?
That's
It's
so
a tough
tough.
question. It's
That's
very
really tough,
possible.
and it's tough because they're for very different reasons.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Rizzo,
I would also go Rizzo. Here's what I hope happens, and this
but it's
is
pretty close, which is shocking.
it is pretty close. I think Ozzy has been blindsided with an idol before.
Yes.
I've seen it happen with my own two eyes. But I mean, I see it now. I see Rizzo being like, by the way, I've had this the whole time and I'm playing it tonight. And then the people look at each other like, well, all right, we were already voting for you, so, or something like that. We'll
Yeah.
split the votes because we were just gonna have it be unanimous on you. And then he doesn't play it, and then it's like, well, dang, I guess we can get Rizzo out. And then he goes on with an idol, and then Genevieve gets an idol.
Yeah.
So I kind
That's
of
what I
hope that
see.
happens. That would
I
be
do too.
awesome.
That's what
Um,
it'll happen.
yeah. But of course, when we talk about Genevieve, we have to talk about an interesting rivalry. I mean, which is her and Aubrey. Um, what do we think about Aubrey, and then what do we think about this rivalry so far between the two of them?
Aubrey is one of the few people that like I just for whatever reason over the years have never like been as high on as other people.
Same here. Same here.
Um, I don't know, and it's weird because like I don't know what it is about Aubrey. Like I still like Aubrey, and I'm happy she's on. Like she's deserving, and I'm happy she's on this season. But like for me, for whatever reason, it's like the idea of Aubrey is always better than what I get from Aubrey on my season. Is the
Yeah.
way I would describe it to like myself. Of like I said, I'm happy she's here. I think she's going to bring it relatively. Like she's gonna play, but like she's never gonna be somebody that's like my top choice to bring back.
Yeah.
It's like when I saw her, like she was the most just like, okay, like that makes sense, but like I'm not kind of whatever. But I mean, she's been, I don't even know, like I want to say she's been fine, but like the story she's gotten has been kind of meh to me of like her like kind of not being able to wake it up, I guess is the way I would say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I actually I have to disagree with you here, and I'm shocked I'm disagreeing with
I'm
you here.
happy. We finally have some disagreement.
I'm shocked because I will say this: when Aubrey was announced on the season, she was the person I was the most like, why are we bringing her back? Legitimately, I was like, why are we bringing her back? She was on the most recent returnee season that wasn't all winners. She was bad in it, and I've never been. I was not entertained by her in Cow Wrong. I was not entertained by her in Game Changers. I was not entertained by her in Edge of Extinction. Why is she back? But you know what? I think I understand, which is Aubrey. The reason why she's entertaining on this season may not be true to the rest of her seasons, but I think it is to some extent, which is she everybody else is having a fun time. Aubrey is miserable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of entertaining in a sadistic way maybe, but I'm sufficiently entertained by it, and I think it's kind of an interesting arc, which is Aubrey's here. She's still able to play the game. She's still smart. She's still a good player. But like very few people want to work with her. Everybody wants her out. And she just like doesn't seem to really want to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. I think that's good television. And it's kind of making me like Aubrey. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I think a switch flipped a few episodes ago. I think it was it might have been on this podcast. I forget who was talking to me about why they love Aubrey. It might have been Ryan. It might have been Ryan. I'm gonna say it was Ryan because I think it was Ryan who was saying, "Yeah, Aubrey, I'm glad to see her back." And I was like, "Why?" And he explained, and I was like, "You know what? That's a good point." And since then, I kind of my third eye's expanded. My third eye's expanded, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. You know what? Aubrey is kind of fun. Aubrey's well, maybe not fun, but the circumstances in which Aubrey is here in general is fun because she was an alternate anyway. I'm pretty sure for Amanda, if I
Yeah.
recall
I
correctly.
believe so.
Um, and so it's like I almost feel like Aubrey was like, "All right, well, I'm not getting on, boo hoo," and then it's like, "Aubrey, you're on," and she's like, "Oh, I guess I have to leave my family. I
Yeah.
guess I have to go to Fiji because I have to be on Survivor for the fourth time." Oh, and now she's here. So
Yeah.
I've been entertained by Aubrey.
I this is not the most relevant, but I have to do it now while I have the platform because that's the
Please,
closest I'm gonna get to the segue here. I wish we could get Lauren O'Connell back, please. I need it so bad. That's my Survivor crush. Like I need her back. I think she brings it on everything. I need her
I
back, and I'm saying that because of the
I
Aubrey
need her,
connection.
comma back. No, I mean
True.
Lauren's
Yes.
Lauren's fun. Look, I mean, my person who I really wanted to play for the fourth time, who was a returnee on Edge of Extinction, was Kelly Wentworth. I was like, "Where's Kelly Wentworth?"
I mean
But
Kelly. Yeah.
but she apparently didn't want to play, which is sad. But I understand. I guess not everybody can want to do Survivor four times. You have to be a
Not as
certain
many
grade.
people can be as cool as
But
Kelly Wentworth. We get it.
not as many people can be as cool as Aubrey, who goes back on Survivor for the fourth time and cries about Zac Brown. But whatever. Um, but
I
that's all to
stand.
say.
I stand Lauren. I need her back.
I stand Wentworth, so there you go. Two sides of the same coin over here.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I've been entertained by Aubrey, but I also totally get why you haven't. I'm not blaming you. I'm just offering my 2 cents on
Oh,
that.
we finally have a disagreement. It's great.
There you go. Also, she has an idol. Do you think she's gonna idol out Genevieve? Is that gonna happen?
That's what it feels like the edit's playing to.
How
Which is
do
like
you?
I'm kind of worried about Genevieve's spot on this tribe,
Yeah,
due to getting idled out. Um, but
it
I'll
could happen.
because Aubrey is one that where I think if they go and she like even like 0.5% feels it, she's gonna play it just because of what happened last in Edge. So
Yeah,
and it looks like Aubrey could be the target. So I think a Genevieve idol out is like a pretty realistic, unfortunate thing that could happen. But I'm not going to really worry about it until I see it happen.
Aubrey on this season definitely feels like a more paranoid player than I've seen in the past, and I think
Yeah,
being a paranoid Survivor player makes you a little more entertaining because you're all over the place. But it also means that you might actually play your advantages. Like you want to know somebody who wasn't paranoid in their Survivor season? Rizzo. He was not paranoid at all. He knew exactly what the vote was every single time. So he could just showboat his idol over and over and
yeah.
over again and be like, guess I'm not going home. Haha.
I mean, yeah, being paranoid gives you a much higher floor as a player, but a cash your ceiling. Like that's
Yeah.
just how you want to go about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the tribe from this season, I believe, unless there's anybody else. No, we're going on to the tribe, which is the Batu tribe, which just keeps losing. And we're going to start off with Stephanie. What do we think about Stephanie so far?
Stephanie was I would say it's funny. Like I would say like Stephanie was somebody I was like didn't need to like I was fine with Stephanie coming back. Like it makes sense the Survivor Legend to come back, but like was something where it's like I don't me personally I don't need Stephanie back.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. But I would say in the same thing of like I've kind of awoken to really appreciating Stephanie this season, kind of like how you were talking about with Aubrey. Like Stephanie is the one that's grown on me. Not the most, but has been a big grower on me. And I think the thing that I've appreciated about it is as I felt this season, she's had to play like really scrappy in the
Mhm.
sense of like, especially on these tribes, like she's getting down and gritty, like with these votes. Like she's not riding and dying with like she's willing to make a move. Like she was part of this 3-2-1 vote. Like she's willing to make moves in like the anybody but me category.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how much long of a leash she has. I thought like for sure she was gonna be the easy vote this week, and like that just didn't happen. So like she's playing better than I thought, considering I thought she was the easy vote out this week, and she somehow didn't even have her name come up once. So like I think she's playing pretty well. She's been entertaining enough in the confessionals, but like she's given me more than I expected from her, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I look, I to me, Stephanie's kind of been what I expected from her. I'll say this busting out the gate, like the first challenge, I was like, oh my God, Steph is back. This is, she's roaring out the gate with this challenge. It's like she's back. And ever since then, I feel like to me, she's kind of gone back to like, okay, this is kind of what I expect from Stephanie, 15 years after Heroes versus Villains. Judging by the most recent game she played, which was Traders Season 1, it's like, yeah, she's just kind of not that interesting compared to everybody else.
Mhm.
And it feels like she's on Survivor and she's kind of playing it how she wanted to play Heroes versus Villains before she got voted out, which is
Yeah.
she wants to play a loyal game and just kind of want to stay on the island. Not even like a Sandra anybody but me game. It's more of just like a yeah, I'd rather not get voted out.
I will say, I'll say she's playing like not loyal enough where she didn't tell Ozzy, which is
Yeah,
like a good sign that like okay maybe she's like picking something up here and not just being 100% loyal. So I don't really have much else to say about Stephanie,
I don't either, really.
but like she's been pretty decent.
Yeah, I guess. I really it's weird because I feel like she hasn't gotten the very big edit despite theoretically being one of the bigger characters on the season, in terms of lore and in terms of being a name that people casual Survivor fans will know. Like the names people casual fans would know are Sari and Stephanie and Coach and Ozzy and Colby. And that's probably the five. Like those are the five people that everyone knows. And anything beyond that's like I don't really know who Emily Flippin is. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah,
So it's interesting to me that we haven't seen a ton of her, but I mean, maybe that's because she's going to go far. Who knows?
potentially. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next person. This is where we really start getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode because we are going to talk about Ozzy. Um, look, I really like Ozzy this season. What do you think about Ozzy so far?
I dare I say this is the MVP of the season so far.
I mean, he's been to every tribal council, and he's still Ozzy.
I'm not gonna. I say and I'm gonna say MVP in the sense of compared to what I expected to what I have gotten. This
Mm-hmm.
is by far and away my biggest MVP riser of the season. I like you after what happened on Game Changers. I was like, I don't need to see no Ozzy again. Are we serious now? Like, I don't need to see this. But for whatever reason, Ozzy, who's now gone by Oscar in his head, this is Oscar playing now, according to him.
Except he said I'm Ozzy this season, this
Yeah,
episode. So I don't know what he believes. He's very
but
ping
like
pongy.
he is bringing it. He's not the best strategist, but you can actively see the wheels turning like he's trying to do it. And like it's in a charming way that like Ozzy has never like it's crazy that I am saying this with
Mm-hmm.
the season. but I am rooting for Ozzy as of right now on the season, which I don't think I would have guessed $1 million I would have said at the start of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant for a second, and it's a
Go
good
for it.
rant. It's a positive rant. I want to talk about why Ozzy's just been so entertaining to me this season. Number one, he, unlike every other contestant who hasn't played in a while, he's the one contestant who I feel like legitimately has insight into why they're not a good Survivor player or haven't won or why or what needs to change about them. Number two, I love how Ozzy went to Suri and was like, "I'm not good enough to use this extra vote. You do it." Like, no, what other Survivor player would ever do that? That's awesome. I love that. Number three, his stupid haircut. Which the more I see it, the more I'm here. I'll pull back up the picture. The more I see it, the more I'm like, this is just
It's Shambo.
crazy. It's Shambo, but it's just like I love it. I don't know. I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
Um, Number four, the fact that he is God, I don't even know how to describe this one. He wants things. He wants Angelina to go home, but he's like, all right, whatever. I'll listen to you. I'll do what's best for the game. I understand. But then, as we're gonna see in this next episode, after Mike goes home, he's gonna be like, I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm Ozzy. And number five, speaking of that, the fact that even beyond all that, it did feel like he really wanted a cameo on the White Lotus.
Yeah.
Like he was willing to
Yeah.
throw away his game for that. So all that's to say, very entertained by Ozzy so far.
Oh, yeah, like I said, Ozzy is, I think, the shining star so far in that sense. Some other people on this tribe are obviously like the MVPs overall of the season,
Mm-hmm.
but like from what I expected, what I've gotten, I have been thrilled. Like
Yes.
that, this is the Ozzy I've gotten. Like if we got this version out of every single person this season, like could you imagine just like how insane? Like if we had like a couple more of these like breakouts of their character like across the season, like imagine if we had this breakout. I'm trying to think. I don't know who's
Yeah.
some, like I don't know who another person would be that would be similar that I didn't really care about, but like
Like Chrissy all of a sudden coming in and being like the most like being Rick Devens level of entertaining,
that's yeah, that's kind of what it'd be like. I'm like, oh, okay, Chrissy, I didn't
Yeah.
know I needed this.
Um But I do want to ask you a question because this is something that I thought about watching this episode, which is at Tribal Council, we get, we do our talks, and Emily's like, I came on this season and I've been really surprised. Like, Ozzy is just like an awesome guy. And Ozzy's like, thank you. That's nice. I appreciate it. And it made me think, like, in all the seasons Ozzy's been on, it's like, I don't think he's ever been disliked by his tribe. Like, people are never like, oh,
No,
we hate Ozzy, but he's also like never had an alliance that wasn't an obligation. Like
yes,
his foreign Cook Islands was like, I guess we got to stick together. But it's like, and in South Pacific, it's like, all right, I guess I got to ride for Keith and Whitney and all them. But Ozzy's like, does he just like not try to make alliances? Has he never done that? Do people just not? Do people look at Ozzy and are just like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, he tried in Micronesia.
Yeah,
He
I
just got
guess I
blindsided,
guess
I
he did,
guess.
but he was also playing with way better players. But also, I guess
Correct.
during the fans part, he was playing with plumbers and firemen. So I mean,
Yeah,
literal
exactly.
firemen. Shouts out Joel. Um, but yeah, Ozzy's just he's a really he and Coach. I mean, what a
Oh,
surprisingly perfect pair to have on South Pacific because they are both totally stupid enigmas. Um, Not to say that they're stupid, but they're
the fact that they foil
yeah.
off of each other so well is insane.
Yes, it's stupid that it's worked so well, and it continues to work so well into Survivor 50.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, shouts out Ozzy. All right, let's move on to our next person, who is going to be Angelina, who was a candidate to go home this episode. What do we think about Angelina so far?
Here's my biggest dud of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with you there, but I mean, she's up there for sure. I think I don't know who my biggest stud would
It's
be.
not. I don't. It's not necessarily her fault because she's just at a completely different stage of her life than the Angelina we saw. But like even like I was always. It's funny. Like I was always more of like a on David vs Goliath. Like Davey, I loved Davey and like Mike White. Like that was more the style that I liked on that season. And Christian,
Yeah.
it was less like Angelina. She was fun, but like that wasn't who I was necessarily rooting for on David vs Goliath. Even I mean, I don't think she really ever had a chance to win that season. But like I, the Angelina that I would want is that Angelina. Whereas right now she feels like a way toned down version of that. But like she's not giving me something else that I could like substitute that with. So it's just felt like a dud in that sense of like we're not getting the Angelina that we want to get. No fault of her own, but like it's just not giving what we really want from her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the cast to try to figure out who my biggest stud is. Here's the deep truth about me is like I know I watched David versus Goliath. I agree it's a great season. I view Angelina kind of in the same category as like an Abby Maria. I think that they are entertaining and they are good as television who as extreme television, as drama television. That's the
Yeah.
entertainment I got from Angelina and David versus Goliath. And that's why I would say that like I feel like she might have been better for a second chance this season and not a legend season. I feel like this is my thought on that. It's like get her on a cast where she doesn't feel like where she doesn't get to talk to herself up as a legend. Doesn't
Oh,
have two
fans
people
versus
that she
favorites. Oh, that would have been the
yeah, fans
perfect.
versus favorites. That would have been she would have been great on that.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Angelina, just hasn't done much. Even in these past episodes where she's been on the block, I haven't seen. There's been some level of paranoia. She still has a level of ego that she had in David versus Goliath, but the entertainment value is just kind of dissipated a little
Mhm.
bit. So I'd say it's probably yeah, she'd probably, I guess, be my biggest stud by default, but that's partially because the cast has been so good so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Out of the grand scheme of things, if this is and like this is like the only person I feel like who's truly dudded for me, like I think we're doing a pretty good job considering how many people we've had.
yeah, yeah. I mean, 24 people. If you can
You're
say
bound
one, maybe
you're bound to
two
get a
are
couple.
duds.
Yeah.
Like I would call Tiffany a dud, but I also haven't seen her. For all I know, she's not on the season. So I
Yeah.
mean, like Zac Brown's a dud because they put a country music superstar on Survivor and then they put him
I
in one
mean
episode
I
and
mean
gave him
Zach Brown
only
has more confessionals than Tiffany.
yeah, twice the amount of confessionals as Tiffany even. So I mean, Jesus. Um, anyways, about Angelina, she almost goes home 2 straight episodes in a
Mhm.
sense, and I felt like both episodes it was just kind of like I felt like her going home would have been better for the season overall in the sense of Q obviously more entertaining in the season that we saw. And Mike White, I feel like has more strategically and entertainment value. Um, and I'm not trying to diss Angelina. I just think that she's on a cast that's more interesting than her.
Mhm.
I think that's just what it is at the end of the day. And she has matured, which is good character development. But it's kind of like when Kelly Wigglesworth came back in Second Chance. It was like went from this person who was foundational to the show as a young woman and comes back and it's just kind of like someone who feels like they've moved on in a sense. And I don't even know if that's true of Angelina, if she has moved on from the show. But she's definitely seemed a lot more excited talking about the White Lotus than she has about anything else this season. So that's all I'll
Yeah.
say on that.
Yeah. I think Mike going home helps her position in the game a bit. Um, but like her position in the game, I don't think it's just great in general. I think she's just always going to be, for better or for worse, somebody that's just going to be an easy vote at any
Yeah.
given point. Like I would not be shocked if she was the merge vote.
Yeah, I could see that. I think she's far more likely. I mean, I don't know when the merge is going to be this season. I think she's far more likely to just go pre-merge.
I think
But
she is too.
yeah,
But
yeah, we'll see. All right, moving on to our next person. Let's talk about Emily Flippin. My God, what do we think about Emily Flippin so far? She's been on a ride the past few episodes.
Flippin has been flippin'.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, she's been great. She is somebody that like I think that you could throw on any given season and be confident that you know she's going to be entertaining and fun, and she has done that. I think she's the right amount. She's perfect for a season like this because she is messy but also cares about the strategy, and it's a fun thing to have where like because most of the strategists are usually squeaky clean,
Mm-hmm.
so to have a strategist that like is just not clean
Yeah.
in the way that they go about things and is like will do things that are irrational and like that don't help her game, but like she just can't help but do it. Like it's very OCD like of her where she's like I feel compelled to tell you this even though I know I shouldn't do this.
Yeah. I That's a good point. Like I never really thought about Emily as a messy strategist. I think part of it is because like 45 her whole arc was, becoming a quote unquote softer person is I think what the terminology was,
Mhm.
and kind of moving on from that, first 3 episodes or whatever it was in 45. But I mean like part of that's also just because her strategic gameplay was so overshadowed by the strategic gameplay of Austin and Dee and Julie and Jake O'Kane. And it's like there are a lot of other people also being strategic that season that I think Emily kind of got naturally overshadowed.
Mhm.
So when she got casted for the season, I expected her to just be very flatline strategic force. And I was cool with that. I was like, she will be, you know, sassy in confessionals and it'll be entertaining. But I got to tell you, I'm surprised. I'm surprised by the mess. I really am.
Here's the
It's
thing, though,
been
Joey.
good for the season.
Should we really be surprised when we've seen how she plays Clock Tower?
Look, I shouldn't. I shouldn't because I have seen how she plays Clock Tower.
She is
Um,
playing exactly like she plays Clock Tower. So like which is like very fun, and it's like it's one of the things where it's like I feel like, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way. I feel like I understand her relationship better than almost everybody does, just because I have the Clock Tower insight in their dynamic a bit.
it is
But like,
really fun to watch Clock Tower, and for those not in the know, that I'm sure most of you are, um, some of these contestants play Hit Game Blood in the Clock Tower on the Twitch stream a lot of Saturdays, not every Saturday, but oftentimes on Saturdays. And Emily Flippin and Christian have played numerous games together, and we had both seen how they play games. And I think for the most part, how they play Clock Tower is very similar to how they play Survivor. I think
yes,
especially in Emily's case, but Christian
yes,
also is very much like he's so analytical of every single detail, and will break everything down in his mind, and will get frustrated at the littlest things kind of not going his way to some extent. But I mean, my point is that it's interesting thinking about them and then thinking about the people who haven't been back and thinking about the other people who play Blood in the Clock Tower being like, huh, if you come back, are you going to play the way that you play
oh god,
this Franny Marin or
if
oh,
Omer plays like how he plays in Clock Tower, I'm putting him for first boot.
yeah, yeah. Zach Werdenberger, your days are numbered
No,
again.
please, I need Zach so bad. I need him back so bad.
um Anyways, that's all
Also,
big.
that doing more guy would be fun back too.
I don't know who that is. Um,
Yeah,
that's a big
fair.
aside to Emily, who I think has been entertaining this season. Almost surprisingly so. I wouldn't say that she's outgone my expectations too much, but definitely a little, at least in terms of how
Uh,
she's actually presenting herself. Because the first few episodes, she was kind of the most invisible person on that tribe, and then she's still with Christian and still with Ozzy, and now she's kind of in the center of everything.
it's
So
it's one where it's like I didn't expect it, but like it makes a lot of sense knowing how she plays Clock Tower. The
yeah.
where it's like I know how she plays that, so like me seeing her play this makes a lot of sense. But I would have thought she would I mean, like Clock Tower has no stakes to it, right? Whereas like
Yeah.
Survivor has like money attached to it, but she's playing the same way, and I really respect that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our next person who, let me see if I can segue this well, also plays Clock Tower. And we were just kind of talking about Dr. Christian Hubicki, who I would say has probably without a doubt been the main character of the season so far. What do
100%.
you think? What do you think about him so far?
Uh, I am. It's so funny because like coming into the season, I was always high. Like Christian was an obvious lock on the season. Like he's probably one of the first people that was called for the season,
Hmm.
and he's the perfect sense of like for almost everybody he was a lock. Almost everybody who watches Christian loves him,
Yeah,
but yet somehow with all of that, he is still universally outperforming everybody's thoughts and expectations of him back on this
I
season,
know he
which is
is.
just
Yeah,
insane. He really is an enigma in the sense of that he is a top 10 confessionalist all time.
yeah.
He is a very like he's a maybe not top 10, but like he's we can have some questions about the strategy, I guess. But like he's an above average, he's a good strategist, I'll say.
He's what we were talking about earlier. One of the best puzzle performers in
One of the
Survivor
best
history,
puzzlers.
probably.
And he is extremely underrated at his social ability, I think is what is his most underrated aspect.
Yeah,
And like by and large, like when you look at him on paper, like if you were to do like a little like, like like a 2K or a Madden ratings of all these different things, like he would be really high, like
that's
across the
true.
board.
Well,
Like,
it's actually so funny you mentioned this. I'm gonna be so for real with one of the nerdiest things that I've done as a Survivor fan. As I made my way through all the seasons, through all the seasons I watched through COVID, through all the seasons, I made myself essentially Madden ratings for all the
hmm.
contestants, except it's for Brant Steele, which is
Oh,
even
okay.
nerdier, even lamer.
Yeah,
But I
that
made
yeah.
statistics for all of them. And I mean, I could pull it up right now, but I'm pretty sure Christian was pretty high. Um, because I think I'll pull it up later. Or I'll pull it up right now. I don't know. Can you talk about Christian while I pull this up? Sorry.
Yeah. The thing that makes Christian so good is that he can make paint dry sound entertaining.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he has an innate ability at explain. I mean, it's quite literally his job being
yeah. It is.
a
He's a professor.
professor
Yeah,
of taking things that are complicated and breaking them down into simple bite-sized pieces of information. And it's funny because what he excels at in confessionals is very different than what a lot of the other good confessionals excel at.
yeah.
Whereas like if you were to like sure, he's entertaining on his own in the confessionals, but he's not the most funny confessionalist. He's not the like most eye jumping out the page confessionalist. He's really good at those things. Like let me say that. But what makes him so good is he's so quick thinking of how to make these complex things bite-sized information, but also finding ways with their quips and fun one-liners into it is what makes him really well. Instead
Yeah.
of like Rick, who like can do the newscasting and is like knows how to like just be ridiculous in a fun way in the confessional to relate it to the game. Rick doesn't really ever break the game down in his confessionals.
No,
That's not
no.
what he's there for. Whereas Christian will is the story like Christian is has obviously been the storyteller on this try for the strategy. But
He's the
like
storyteller, but he's also the guy who can make it funny when he's talking about how he pooped his pants.
yes.
He can do both.
Yes.
Um, I was a little surprised looking at this spreadsheet that I do have of my ratings for Christian. And so the max rating that I give somebody is 50. Like the best Survivor seasons of all time in terms of all the statistics are
Uh-huh.
like Tim Spradlin in One World, Boston Robin in
Redemption
Redemption
Island. Yeah.
Island, Tony in Winners of War. Just like graded everything. Has that. I have Christian at a 42 out of 50, which is still really good. Still really good. But I think in retrospect, it makes sense because I mean, he had all these elements, but he was still like what the eighth place or something like
I
that.
think it's like I think it might have been 7 or 6. Like I think it's a little higher than that, but yes.
But still, he was that. with the knowledge of everybody kind of wanting to get him out on the beach for episodes. And he kind of just got through by the skin of his teeth every time. You might say that it makes him more impressive. You might say that makes him less impressive. I don't know. It's kind of your thoughts. But I look at the statistics and it's like he's really good in terms of social. He's really good in terms of strategic. He's really good in terms of mental. He's really good in terms of endurance. He's really good in terms of all this stuff. He's a loyal ally on top of all that. He's got good intuition. Has all the good makings of a Survivor player statistically, which I'm sure he'd love the statistics portion of that.
If you still have that up, could you name just a random name in your bottom 5? It doesn't have to be the bottom one. I just want a random name in your bottom 5.
A random name in the bottom 5 worst contestants and the ones I have in here. Yes, I will happily tell you that.
I just need one.
Yeah. Chet Welsh from Survivor Micronesia.
Okay.
One of the worst contestants of all time, purely statistically. I think that's valid.
Which is funny because like everybody like kind of likes Chet, but also like yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like and he's a 22, so compared to the 42, way down. Anyways, that's all a big aside. We can talk about that some other time. Christian's been really impressive on the season so far. I mean, I think it's been awesome that he's kind of been the narrator. I've been really happy about that.
I wasn't expecting him to be the lead narrator of the season, but it's been quite refreshing to have him be the lead narrator.
Yeah, for a guy who's so like his life is so, it feels like it's so oriented on, probability and chance and being able to dictate what happens next. This is what I have happen. It's been entertaining to see him lose over and over and over again. For him and Ozzy both, it's like these are guys who are used to winning. Ozzy's used to winning challenges. Christian is used to being able to dictate what he does, but having to constantly just like be on your toes, being like, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? Especially with Emily as a close ally of Christian, who just keeps flipping and flopping, has been really entertaining. I've loved the past few episodes where Christian just looks at the camera, is like, grr, grr, grr. It's great. It's great television. And look, this episode wouldn't have been so good if it weren't for, unfortunately, the person who was voted out, who has a lot to do with Christian, who is, of course, the last person we'll be talking about here, who is Mike White, who I thought had a really interesting episode, especially with Christian. But what did we think of Mike White on the season?
I feel like we got an okay amount of Mike. We got probably the amount of Mike I would expect for where he ended up going in the season. Like I said earlier, Mike, like he's a weird thing for me where it's like I am always I was thoroughly entertained with him on David vs. Goliath.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as entertained as I was, I did not want him back. It's a weird dynamic where it's like
I agree with that.
I really like, and when like the season proved it, like I like Mike White, and like he's very entertaining, and he's like he's a very unique character survivor, which I appreciate. But at the same time, I didn't need him back.
I think there are some players that it's, I was talking about multi-season character arcs before. I think some people's one-season character arcs is perfectly fine. And I think Mike White was that. I did enjoy his presence on this one quite a bit, but I mean, I didn't need to see him back. I think people overrate how much someone needs to return. Like, I don't need to see Andy back. I think his one-season storyline was perfectly solid. And I felt that way about some people who were casted here, and they've surged past my expectations, and some people haven't yet. But it's just a matter of when. But that's to say that, I mean, like, yeah, Mike was good. He was good in confessionals. He had a 6-pack, lest we forget. And I really like the end thing with Christian, where the reason ultimately what did him in is stabbing Christian in the heart with trauma, was hitting him with a little bit of trauma, and Christian being like, I can't work with this guy.
It's actually really funny because I think if Mike does not go here, he goes really far.
Yeah, I think people want that White Lotus cameo.
Yes, which is why I am surprisingly, like, as much as I like Mike, I'm completely okay with him going here.
Same here.
Like I said earlier, like the boot order we have gotten has been, in my opinion, for the people I want to see play, has been pretty damn good. Yeah. Like of course, like the one that hurt the most to lose was probably Q, just because of how entertaining he is. But we saw him so recently, I was able to stomach it. Like, okay, I got 3
And it
episodes.
wasn't a surprise. Not a
No,
surprise.
like I got multiple episodes of him. Would have liked a little more, but like that's the way the cookie crumbles. Like I know I'm going to lose some people I like, but by all accounts, it's been great. Mike was great. He brought it on the strategy. I think part of the, and I guess I'll talk about this I know we're past 2 hours.
I don't
but
care.
Like part of like this vote is like, I don't know if this was the right move for Christian. Like when it happened, I was like, is this the right move for Christian to make here? And like, I've thought about it a little bit, and I think I don't know. I think it would have been better for him to take out Angelina than Mike. But I think this move is fine. And the reason is that this is a move that like is a short-term setback, a long-term game for him. Of like, if he, let's say they hypothetically coming out of this, so we thought it was gonna be Stephanie.
Yeah.
He takes the easy way out and they go Stephanie. If he goes into the merge with 3, David versus Goliath, that's all everybody's going to talk about.
Yeah,
and like
I think that's true. But also,
at any given point,
do you think that would fall back on Christian then in that case if it were 3 versus David versus Goliath at the merge, or do you think it would go on Angelina or Mike?
I think it falls on Christian because Christian's the most threatening of those 3.
Yeah.
Whereas now going in with only 2 David versus Goliath is a lot more manageable.
Especially when one of them is Angelina. Yeah.
Especially when one of them is Angelina. Yeah. And people are gonna like, because they're also gonna get the thought here of like, oh shit, like somehow there were 6 people on this tribe, right?
Yeah, 6 people.
They're gonna say, oh shit, on a tribe where there was 3 David versus Goliaths, they couldn't rally somebody, or somebody flipped from them to vote against Mike. They cannot be together, is what the outside opinion would lead me to believe. Like if I was on another tribe and I see Mike White was the one that was voted out walking up, I'm thinking how possibly the 3 David and versus Goliath players have somebody get voted out. Because if they're voting as a voting block, they only need to flip 1.
Yeah.
And like, it's very easy to go to the person on the bottom to say, hey, we won't make it you. Just come with us. You have a couple more rounds. And if it gets to that point, sure, you're the odd man out. But like, I make something happen there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of order that makes sense. For me, it was No, let me go through this. It was Angelina, and then probably Mike White, and then Emily, and then Stephanie. I think Stephanie would have made the least sense. I think Emily would have made a decent amount of sense if you just want to go for the David versus Goliath thing, which I don't think it's a bad idea, all things considered. I don't think it's a great idea, but I think, honestly, I think Christian is going to be looked at as one of the biggest threats in the game, no matter what at this point. I think he's got a tough road ahead of him come merge. He can get through it, but I mean, I think it's going to be tough.
I actually don't think it's going to be as tough as you think it is, and I've thought about this a little bit, in the sense of like, okay, the people that are with Christian from this bloodbath tribe right now who are going to be left.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be Angelina, who was trying to think if Angelina was part of this. I can't even remember who voted for who in this 3-2-1.
I mean, she voted for freaking
who did she even vote for?
God, who did she vote for? Emily. Emily.
Yeah,
right?
she voted for Emily, but like she's gonna be she'll go back to Christian because she just lost her number 1 in Mike, so she's gonna be forced to go to Christian.
Yeah.
Then you have Stephanie, who is now going to be indebted to Christian.
Yeah.
Because they're going to say, oh, okay. You have Ozzy, who's going to be pissed he was left out on the vote, but he's not going to really be. I can't, like, sure, I guess he could be mad at Christian, but, like, I don't think it's Christian's obligation to fill him in on that. Like, he should be more mad at Stephanie.
He should be more mad at Emily. I mean,
yeah, like he should be more mad at both of them. Emily is in a good spot with Christian, obviously, because they have a connection outside the game.
Yeah.
So
and
like
have been connected all game long too.
Yeah. So like when you look at it like that way, like the people that he's going to end up coming with from this tribe are going to think that he's working with them at that given moment when they make a merge. And the people on the tribes like Rick and stuff, they obviously are like, "Oh, Christian's here, great. He's going to work with me." Like I think he's going to have a lot more friends than people think he will at the merge. Now he might have so many friends people realize that, and he's a threat. But like I don't think that's an early merge. Like they're not going to find out about the early merge. Like they might find out about that middle with like around like 10 ish, like 10 to 8 people left. They might figure that out. But like I don't think like the merge or the first voter are going to be that bad for him.
I disagree. I get it. I do. But like, here's what I think about the tribe now that now that Mike's gone. Angelina may feel obliged to work with Christian because she has to, but I think she's pissed. And if there's one thing I will say about Angelina, we were kind of talking, sort of poorly about her earlier. She is petty. She's a petty
Yes.
person, and her best friend just got voted out by the hand of someone who she thought was going to work with them because they're all best friends outside the game. And then one of them just cut off the other two. I think she will be pissed at him. She might still go back to him, but I think that can happen. Two things can exist. I think Emily will still be with him. I think Stephanie is honestly kind of ambivalent. I think that she just kind of wants to get back to Colby and will probably get sucked up into some honor and integrity alliance.
I agree with that too, but I think she's not gonna be like negative on Christian. Like I think
No,
she'll
I
be like
agree.
neutral to maybe slightly positive, but like not in like a crazy way either way.
I agree with that. And then after that is well, Christian himself won't have any thoughts on himself. And then it's Ozzy. And Ozzy, I think, will sound the alarm on Christian. I think he would be the type of guy, if a merge hits, would be like, I've been playing with this guy all game and he's been running the whole thing. Say what you will about Ozzy, but I think he knows when other people are playing better than him. So I think he would be willing to sound the alarm on that. And if not him, I think Angelina could do it out of spite.
I think the worst case scenario for Christian, and I like see for some reason this picture is coming so clear in my head right now.
Okay.
They make the merge. Ozzy goes to Suri and tells Suri what was going on in the camp. And it's Suri who leads the charge, not Ozzy, to try to like flip a blindside. For some reason, that's just like very like I can see that like very clearly in my head, that scenario happening.
Despite the fact that they're working together, or Suri and Christian were working together.
Yeah, because like I think what he's gonna say is, oh, he was working like he had Mike and he voted out his ally.
Yeah.
His supposed ally.
So how can we trust him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm not gonna say like Suri's gonna go for that right away, like because I think like she's like pretty like
she would suggest it to someone else.
But yeah, she would tell somebody else. Like she wouldn't leave that.
She would go to I don't know, Dee and be like, you wouldn't believe what Christian's been doing, or something like that. Because they've been on the same tribe together, or go to Camilla about that and be like, you wouldn't believe what Christian's been up to, according to Ozzy. And I feel like that would be the charge led. Because I mean, we learned from episode 2 that Suri doesn't force these moves. She makes somebody else do them. So yeah.
This is a random thought coming to my head, but like I didn't really talk about her early. I didn't really have a chance to talk about her earlier, really. But like, Savannah getting to this merge would have been so good.
Look, I mean, I said it before, but Savannah brought a lot in the 2 episodes she was on. Savannah is so entertaining when she's not the one leading the entire season. When it's not the most obvious thing in the world that she's going to win, it's like, wait a second, she's actually really entertaining. I would love to watch the season, because I didn't really get the chance to, with someone who doesn't have much exposure to Survivor and didn't know that she won. like as we all did, really.
Dude, I think 49 would have been so much better. If I did not know who won 49 based off of this spoiler list, if it was on 50,
based off the fact that it was everybody knew that she and Rizzo were going to be on 50, and I wouldn't say that I knew Savannah was going to win 49 until a few episodes in, but I quickly learned it through everybody else kind of being like, guess why she's on 50? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I said that on this podcast.
And I was like, and I knew it before you said that too. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, anyways, whatever. Um, that's all to say, Savannah. Very entertaining. I love the evil grin she gave Coach or Colby when his stack was falling. I've said
Mhm.
it every episode so far, I think, since she did it. But I loved in episode 1 when she was like, "Want to guess how I did? I won." And then nobody applauded, or
Nobody cared.
everybody gave golf claps. Ah, that I've said it, I think literally every episode of this podcast so far, but that will be a moment that lives in my mind forever from this season. No matter how the rest of it is, I will always remember that. So thank you, Savannah. Thank you.
I the winners brought it this season. I was as much as and I still agree with this that I did and don't need the 49ers on this season.
Mm-hmm.
They are surprisingly so much better on this season than they were at 49.
Crazy what having a good season around you will do to you.
Yeah.
Crazy what having other interesting contestants will do to you. I mean, like Sophie was interesting, I guess.
Well, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Because people were saying this at the time of 49, and I'll give my opinion after. Replace Rizzo with Steven.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it's like, all right, then it's Steven's not in any of the episodes at best, and it's another Tiffany situation. And instead of him, we're
But I
getting
like
more.
Steven.
I like Steven, but it's like
that would have been such. And people were. I remember people were saying, "Why are we getting?" Because they thought Rizzo was annoying. Rizzo was by far the best choice.
I said this earlier in this podcast, but when the cast came out and I learned who Rizzo really was while watching 49 with the knowledge he'd be on 50, it came to my mind that, oh, Rizzo's on here because he's the Gen Z representation. He's the Gen Z ambassador to Survivor 50, and that has been the case so far, and it's been fun. It's been fun. So, yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on this episode? Oh, actually, sorry. Before we do that, I do want to do one more thing. I'm so sorry, which is we got a double elimination next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we think's going home from each tribe? If every tribe, assuming the 3 go to tribal council, who would go home from the Sela tribe with the knowledge that, hey, Rizzo has an idol now?
I don't think the Sela tribe's losing.
Give me your thoughts. I don't know.
Let me look at this dynamic here. It's almost I'm gonna be honest. It's almost impossible for me to say what the dynamic is here because we do not know anything strategy based of where they are aligned with each other.
Yeah.
So, God, like, I don't know how you. Can I go to the other 2 tribes first, and I'll come back to this one?
Sure, we can do that. What do we think about the Kahlo tribe?
So, on the Kahlo tribe, I think we have that alliance of, like we said, we have Coach, we have Colby, we have Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have whoever they deem the best to pull in.
Probably Genevieve, maybe Chrissy.
We've heard Genevieve as an option. We've also heard Chrissy as an option. It seems like Genevieve is the more likely of those options. But like I say that to say that Chrissy's very much an option to be that 4th.
Yeah.
Tiffany, we haven't heard from at all for where she stands on this. So I just have to imagine she's on the outs with Aubrey. Oh, we had that. That's one of the few things we got for Tiffany is that she's with Aubrey, but she's not part of like the rest of them. I think they're going to go for Aubrey, and I actually think the idol out Genevieve like might just be the most likely option because I just cannot see any reason where Coach, Colby, and Joe are like, yeah, let's just go for Tiffany. Like, I just don't see that world.
Here's my thought. I like the Aubrey successfully plays an idol thing, but I think, at the end of the day, you have Genevieve as probably leading the charge. I think we do split votes on her and Aubrey. on Aubrey and Tiffany, I should say.
Hmm.
And I think everybody else is on board. It's a tribe of 7. I think you pull Chrissy, and Chrissy would be all about that. She might lead the charge on that, actually. I think Joe would be sufficiently okay with that. I think Colby would be about it. Coach would be about it. And then Tiffany goes home. And then maybe she'll get some screen time that episode.
That makes sense.
But yeah.
I'm going to jump down to this Vatu tribe.
Sure, go ahead. Mike White's not there anymore, by the way. Pretend he has an X over him.
Yeah, we heard a lot how, well, just thinking about this, we have, by accounts, Christian and Emily are going, I don't care what the episodes say, they're going to vote together. Like, the episodes are trying to paint this, are they going to work together? Are they not going to work together? At least in the pre-merge, they will work together.
Yeah.
So I see them sticking together. And then it's like, okay, where do they go to get that third person? And they're either going to go to Angelina or Steph. I think Ozzy's kind of on the outs here.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think that he's the one that would be targeted if they go to tribal. Like, I think this one comes down to Angelina or Steph. And who exactly is kind of up in the air. I'm going to imagine Christian would slightly lean to keeping Angelina because he at least knows Angelina a bit more than Steph. So I'm going to say Steph is towards the bottom here, but I also said that last week, and she had no issue scraping by.
Yeah, I disagree with that assessment. I do think Ozzy will not be targeted because I think Christian does want to go back to this Rick Devens Suri alliance, and if he votes out Ozzy, I think he would look bad. So I think it would be between Angelina and Stephanie, but I think Stephanie right now is an ally to Christian. Angelina, I mean, he just blindsided her, and I think, the damage is done. It's kind of my thought on that. It's like Angelina is probably going to be salty. I don't imagine she goes to Christian and it's like, darn, you got me. I think she will be a lot more upset with that. And I think Christian knows that, so I think she's more likely to go home.
That makes sense. I think thinking logically, voting on Angelina makes more sense based off of the dynamics of how the last vote went. But for just whatever reason, I think Christian is gonna feel like he owes, for whatever reason, he's gonna owe it to Angelina because like they are friends too.
Yeah.
To keep her and stuff. I don't know, but like I think it's one of Angelina or Steph. Like it has to be one of those two.
All right.
I would be shocked if it was one of the other 3.
Yeah. Let's figure out how a theoretical vote on Sela would go. Because Rizzo does have an idol.
Yeah, Rizzo has an idol. I'm just trying
to think. Do you want me to say my thoughts first?
Or would you I'll give you mine.
Okay.
And it's, I think so. The dynamics we know we have, I'm just going to kind of walk it. It'll be long, but I'm going to be talking out loud. The dynamics we know we have is Suri and Rick are fine with each other, fine to good with each other.
Yeah.
So they're naturally going to be paired up. We know from other episodes that Dee is also with Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these kind of 2 little groups, and it's kind of where does Charlie, Jonathan, and Rizzo fall into the grand scheme of this?
Yeah.
I think Jonathan is, like I said, I don't think they're going, so it's hard. I think Jonathan is just, you have to not vote him out at any point in the pre-merge just because of how good he is, and it's just you'll just call it a fluke if you lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's off the table of going home. I think I could see a rally around to try to get Rizzo just as an unknown. Like, sure. I know Suri has talked about like an unknown player. Rick's always a wild card. I don't know. I think it's going to come down to like Charlie or Rizzo going home. And that's kind of a little bit based on some of the editing too, a little bit just of like this side. Like I could really, what I think, see, now that I'm talking out loud, I think Charlie's going to try to lead a vote on Rizzo based off of some of these dynamics, and Rizzo's got to like not really know, and somebody might spill the beans to Rizzo. That's what I got. So I'm going to say Charlie leads a vote onto Rizzo, and Rizzo goes home with the idol in his pocket.
Yeah, I could see that happening. So here's how I'll break it
I want to
down.
hear your thoughts. I'm so don't know where to go here.
So I'm just gonna say the people who I think are not on the table. I do
Mhm.
not think Cerie's on the table.
No.
If I if she didn't go home episode 1, she's never going home until the merge. Um, I don't think Camilla's on the table. I think Camilla is just a good enough player. I think she's well integrated enough. I don't think Jonathan's on the table. That
No.
leaves Devins, Charlie, Dee, and Rizzo. I think Dee is in the majority, and I think she's in an alliance, and I think she's well liked enough. I think she'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves Rick, Charlie, and Rizzo. I think if Rick gets targeted, it will be a surprise. It would be for a reason that happens that episode. I can't really envision what it would be right now. It would probably just be worried about chaos. But I think
Yeah.
if you're worried about chaos, you'd be worried about Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it would be between Charlie and Rizzo. And here's why I think it would be Charlie. I think Rizzo has an idol. He knows he has an idol. If he goes to tribal council, he knows he's on the bottom. He's pulling that out probably before tribal and is like, I have an idol. I think regardless of whether or not he plays it, I'm assuming he shows it to somebody, or at least the parchment, he shows it to somebody before tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
I if he shows it to like Cerie or Devins or someone like that, I think that would be enough to be like, well, maybe we don't go after Rizzo here. And then the question becomes, well, what about going after Charlie? And you look at Charlie, I don't think Charlie's really well connected with people.
No.
He lost the talent show to Rizzo. Rizzo won. Charlie lost that talent show.
Well, Charlie did not
Jonathan literally punched him in the face in real life. So I mean, he's clearly not super well connected. And I think the downside of being a normal guy on Survivor is that you're a pretty easy consensus boot. I think it's easy to fade into the background, but it's also easy to point at you and be like, you go home now. So I'm actually going to say Charlie, regardless of whether Rizzo plays his idol or not. So
that's fair. I mean, I at least got it down to the same two people you had it to, so I feel better about that.
Yeah. But I mean, if I could also see Devins in a weird world, but that's like if the other two are like 45% chances, Devins is like a 5% chance.
But here's the thing too. He's also planted this fake idol, so if he has to do something catastrophic to fake to people, he can pull that out, which is in a cosmic of chaos that like I think he survives.
That's true. Good point. All right. Now, any final thoughts on the episode?
Like I said, I think this is going to be an episode that'll be remembered a lot more fondly. The fact that this is the lowest rated episode in Survivor is just ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah.
Like this is like I will say this. I think this is the most memorable episode of the pre-merge so far. At the end of the season, if you'll ask me to what do I remember about the pre-merge and like this moment, like a couple years from now, I will always remember this reward in this episode.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it can beat that intro, but I get what you mean. In terms of things that actually happen once the game is started.
Mm-hmm.
I might agree with you there. I don't know.
Another tangent I want to rant about.
Sure.
I'm very passionate about this. One of the biggest criticisms I have with the show as of late is the music of the show.
Yeah.
Not even sound design, it's the music. And it's the sense of like, I know this is just me ranting. Like, I think most people actually disagree with me here and they like the music at Tribal. But like after episode 1 and during episode 1, we get the classic Tribal Council.
So good.
Jingle. Like we go through it and the whole time it's going on, I know in your heart you feel this is Survivor.
Yeah.
This is just like, and it was a remix version, but that was like Yeah, it's 50. It doesn't need to be the same thing, but we get the same approach. And it's just the thing of like, like the music goes like kind of like as like they like start reading the votes, and then they get the noise when they snuff the torch. Like this is tribal council. But for whatever reason, Survivor has gone away from this into making these big, grand, epic moments. But like all the music sounds the same to me, man. Like all of these like generic hero song 1, generic hero song 2. Like there's like the one sad one that they'll play on occasion, like that, like they want you to feel bad that the hero got voted out. Like I know that one.
Yeah.
But like by all accounts, like I couldn't differentiate them. Like it just doesn't feel like, and like I said, maybe this is my nostalgia to old Survivor, but like when that happened, I cannot tell you how like I remember like in my head, I was like, I hope they like do this.
I popped off.
I was like, I hope they do this because like it's such a celebration of Survivor that like this is Survivor. And I know this is a boomer yells at clouds because I've looked into this. Do you know the last time they played that original Tribal Council music on the show, not counting because this 51 is not the original one? Do you know the last time they played that music?
I'm going to guess it was, man, I'm going to guess it was Worlds Apart.
It was earlier than that.
It was.
I can tell you.
Love versus Water.
Earlier than that. The last time the original Tribal Council music was used was the second episode of Philippines.
Wow.
That is the last time. And if you think about it, it's been almost half of Survivor's history. They have not gone back to that.
Well, that makes it way cooler that they did it, even if it was just for one episode.
And that's why, like, I have to yell at this because, like, I think it's like if people complain about not having the intro, like that like Tribal Council music means way more to me than the intro does at all. Like people want the intro, but like
I like both, but I mean, yeah,
I like both. But like if you're telling me I have to pick one or the other, give me the original Tribal Council music. Like it's just like it's that little thing inside you that's like this is like my Survivor.
Yeah.
And it's been 25 seasons since we've used it in its original form. And I could not differentiate to you any of the other songs they've used in those 25 seasons since, except that one hero, like crying, sad one we want to use. Like they used one like Ricardo and was voted, like that one. Like
yeah, please. Like you were so good at Survivor until you lost. Like boy,
yeah, like when Shan was voted out, like they played that one hero one. Like I recognize that one, but like and the 25 other seasons. So that's my little rant I had to go on. Survivor needs to bring it back. I sometimes playing. It's not even like any like playing to emotion. Like I don't think like it is just like the aura of when the music cuts.
It's aura.
The aura when the music cuts and they hold up the vote and they give their little 5-second clip and then they go back to the music and
it's really good.
Again, it's so good. Like
that's when you know you have to lock in. Like what is this person gonna say right now?
Because like now like I'm trying to think like they don't really like say, they don't really talk when they show the like they'll show them writing.
They usually give
down.
one. Yeah.
Like they might say like they might like show them. Like I just can't remember like they will like on occasion, but like they don't like every single time have somebody like give their little excerpt. And like how many iconic moments.
Mike White's episode was really good. I have to give it up.
Good.
When he was like, I don't remember, but I loved the little smile I did and then the thing that they edited in post. Yeah. It was really good.
But like the forget you, go home, goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Like
I would love to, I don't know. I feel like they used to do this. Maybe they don't do it anymore where they post the full confessionals like online.
Oh, maybe that's they used to do that. They did used to do that, I think.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll bring it back one of these days.
Let me put it this way: the one thing that I want back the most is Survivor Ponderosa. That's obviously never.
Oh my god!
It's obviously like they've obviously decided they don't want to do that. So give me the original music back. That'll make me happy.
Please. All right. Any final thoughts on this episode?
No, I'm excited to see where we go next. The one final thoughts that I have on this season is I will say I'm a little worried for the rest of the season. Strictly from a pacing perspective, I'm worried about the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think Survivor really dropped the ball on not doing these double boots sooner. And I actually got it, not an argument, but like I was on the minority. People on Reddit were saying they like this approach to giving them more time in the beginning and then getting more vote outs later. But like I was trying to explain in a comment there that like no, I want them early on because I already know all the people anyways. This is a returning season. Sure, I'm not going to be upset when there's double boots and some of the people I like go home. Yes,
Yeah.
but I think it makes it more fair when we get to the merge so they can have a more traditional classic merge with how many people are there. Whereas now, like we have the same amount of episodes, but we have 4 more people than normal. Like think about how many more double boots we're going to have.
Or
And
medevacs.
like or meta, yes. And like just the way we're going is really scaring me because like as of right now, they're at a minimum, like they're going to do the thing where if I'm going to imagine they're going to merge early as much as I don't want them to, like they'll merge at 13 or something.
Yeah.
God forbid it's 15, but like they'll merge early and like they're going to do a thing where like they get to a 14, a 12 or a 10 and they split them into 2 groups for a double. Like we know that's going to happen. I hate saying this. I would not be shocked if they did it again to get another way to get a double boot later down the line. And it's so gross to me that like we might have like another, like we might have swap screws that late into the merge because they did not do double boots early. That's my concern. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but overall, like I've said, this season has been much better. This is my favorite seasons, obviously since 47. Like that's 48 and 49 were a low bar. I'm enjoying this season. I don't know. For some reason I really loved 45 when I was watching it live.
Yeah, I mean 45 is my favorite of the new era.
I haven't rewatched any of the new era, nor do I really want to rewatch a lot of the new era, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's funny, I liked 43, I loved 45, and I loved 47. Those are the 3 I liked. I think I like this season more than all of those ones so far.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week with some other guests, who's to say. But maybe none will be as great as Noah was here today. Who knows?
They'll be better than me.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.